week here at Donington Park. This is a bit odd. You may sort of realise that this isn't usually how the BSR broadcast is usually done, but it should be good fun. My name is Jack Oliphant. I'm here alongside me with Reese Saunders. And actually, you can see us at Reese. It makes me feel slightly uncomfortable having my face on the camera, but hopefully you're here and enjoying it as well.
I'm looking forward to 4 races of action here from Donington Park. It's a national layout as well. And yeah, it's our first stream back for a while, so really looking forward to sharing it with you all.
Absolutely, yeah. 4 races that are coming up tonight, as Reese has already just touched upon. Plenty of reverse grids. There's a big grid. We've nearly got 25 cars here in action, and that's just already in practice. Hopefully, we'll go into qualifying with maybe even a few more. The BSR MX5 Championship is always extremely popular, and you will probably see why if you fancy tuning in for the next 2 hours. Reese, have you had much experience in the MX5s before?
I've done some racing in the MX5 myself, and they're always fast. Plenty of drafting action as well, so the fields usually group together in nice tight packs. You tend to get plenty of wheel-to-wheel racing.
You absolutely do. Yeah, it does help that we don't have any real downforce here as well. So it's all down to minimum speed and the driver's skill level, basically. Please do get in touch with us on the YouTube chat as well. I'm going to put that out there really early because we've already got Fungus in the chat saying that Reese is, basically, Reese, you've already got a fan club going in the YouTube chat. So nice to have some people already interacting. So please do keep that coming. Right. Calendar time. What have we got coming up, I believe, is where we're going with this one. As you can see, it is a slightly different broadcast. We may well actually have a little bit of a bumpy start, but we're going to give it our best shot. So it should be quite good fun. Now, Reese, it's a pretty much all British calendar that we've got coming up for the BSR, but we are blessed here. In fact, there it is up on our screen. We are blessed in the UK for having some absolutely brilliant tracks, aren't we?
We are indeed, yes. I'm particularly looking forward to Knock Hill. As I say, a fun little track. And say not a lot of space there as well, so that'll be some fantastic racing there. And we do have the one European round snuck in, which is Monza. And I'm sure those really long straights with that drafting action are going to be incredible.
Yeah, I'm sure there's lots of fan favourites out there, these different tracks. Of course, you may see that there's a few repeats as well. Donington Park appears at round 1 and round 8. Brands Hatch appears round 2 and round 5. Silverstone appears at round 3 and round 9. Snetterton, interestingly, only appears once. Obviously, the trip to Monza for round 5. And then Knock Hill, like Reese has just been touching upon there. Personally, one of my favourite tracks in the world, in real life. Never actually driven it on the sim, even though it came out a few months ago. So very much excited for that. Round 7, of course, at Alton Park, my personal home track. We're about 3 minutes away from Alton Park, and it's always a fan favourite is the Green Hell. Donington Park, Silverstone, and then obviously Brands Hatch, like I touched upon before. So if that's wetted your whistles, if that's a way of saying that or a phrase, then please do subscribe to Year One TV, BSR social media channels, anywhere that you're basically seeing this from, because by all means, this is going to be one hell of a championship. And Reese, this is, I believe, box in the commentary box anyway.
Sorry, I just missed you there. It broke up halfway through. But yeah, it's my first time commentating, so please forgive any bumps in the road as they happen, but really looking forward to it and looking forward to sharing it here with Jack.
Yeah, and it's also very exciting to have Year One TV back with the BSR Championship. I have been away from BSR for must be a year now or so, maybe even a little bit longer. And when they invited me back along, I couldn't say no, especially when I realised what they had planned. Not only have we got this nice little studio that's going on here with me and Reese, so we can talk to each other and see each other, which is a bit of an unusual way an unusual feeling in sim commentary, but not a bad one by all means. But there's also plenty of new graphics. There's new interactions with the chat as well. So you're in for a treat if you're following along for this particular season. And I think it will attract a lot more drivers into it as well. When you've raced in championships, Reese, have you sort of, has the streaming quality and what you get sort of been a big part of the competitions that you've raced in?
I've fantastically, yes. I've really enjoyed being part of championships where it's been broadcast, because you can share those links to friends and family members. You can say, look at me, here's what I've did. And the next day, especially if the results have gone well, maybe if not so well, but you can show people and say, look, this was me. I've got somebody really, really excitedly shouting over me crashing the car usually.
Well, trust me, it's more embarrassing when you do it in real life. One of our competitors, Andy McEwen, used to do that a lot for me in real life. A lot of my friends still remind me of it, unfortunately. But hopefully, we'll be able to make some good memories for a lot of people out there as well. I'm just waiting to hear when we go into qualifying, really, and maybe bring up some more of the fancy graphics so we can bring you all up to date with those sort of things. So the checkered flag for practice appears to be out, apparently. I'm guessing word in my ear anyway, so we should be able to go into qualifying as soon as that's done as well. Reese, it's a long championship. I think it was 10 rounds in total, lots of UK tracks. Those sort of tracks really suit the MX5 as a whole, though, don't they?
They really do. You'll see the cars moving around a lot. There's usually a lot of grass, not a lot of tarmac runoffs as well, so mistakes get punished quite heavily. It's a real test of driver skill.
It absolutely is. So, a couple of drivers who you may well be used to if you are a normal viewer of the BSR Championship. We've got the likes of Jamie Gulliford. I'm just reading out names that I recognise, to be honest, from about a year ago, who are still racing in it. Glenn Humberstone, Craig McDonald, even the likes of Luke Cooper, I believe, very, very quick driver, James Neve, Jamie Gulliford, Tom Griffiths, Nick Libbins, Liam Silkstone, Michael Seal, of course, and plenty of other drivers. Kip Stevens, I like to see him back in it as well. He sort of dipped in and out of it when I was last commentating on this series, but a very high quality grid out there today, Reese, isn't it? And that should stand us in good stead for a good season.
It's going to be fantastic, and looking at the practice time, it's going to be very, very close at the front. I've seen Chris Warner leading practice sessions as well as Jason Cooper, and also Wayne Douglas as well. So it'll be interesting to see who kind of stakes the first claim for qualifying here.
Absolutely will, and we are looking forward to it. Of course, qualifying, I believe, is a 15 minutes. It may well be 10, actually, slightly shorter than the 4 races. And just to remind you of the format, 4 15-minute races. Race 1 is dictated by qualifying. Race 2 is a randomised reverse grid of the finishing order from race 1, and then that sort of carries on that theme. So race 3 will be a randomised grid, randomised reverse grid, I should say, from race 2, and then race 4 will be the same from race 3. And you're just getting a little bit of a taster of the new graphics that Year One and Graham Sessford are pulling out the bag now as well. We've got 3 different categories: Pro, Am, and right in the middle, Pro Am. And that's quite nice, isn't it, really, Reese? Because we get an opportunity for some drivers, although they might not be always winning the overall prize, winning the overall race, they're still fighting for something wherever they are on the grid.
Yes, that's one of the fantastic features of the BSR series. It's the fact that no matter the skill level, no matter your outright pace, you've always got somebody on track to be fighting with. And splitting out into 3 different classes means everybody's got something to win. Everyone's got something to fight for each and every race.
Yeah, I've just had a message actually from... Sorry, you're absolutely right, completely right. I've just had a message from Dan Blake saying that apparently Tom Griffiths is the same Tom Griffiths that I was commentating on at the weekend at Brands Hatch in real life MX5. It was the MX5 Super Cup that he was racing in real life. So nice to have him here racing the virtual cars as well. Reese, have you ever managed to sort of get out there and drive any of the real cars, or is that sort of an ambition of yours maybe a little bit further down the line?
So my only real world experience is actually here at Donington Park. On the national layout as well. It's the only track on the calendar I've driven in real life. And that was in my own road car doing a track day the other month.
Oh, wow.
Hopefully I'm going to get down to Snetterton across the summer at some stage as well, so plan. But yeah, just out on my first journey. So yeah, Donington Park's looking very familiar because it cost me a set of brakes earlier in the year.
Oh, goodness. Hopefully that you didn't end up in the wall because those brakes went off or anything.
Thankfully, they've put a tarmac runoff on the entry to the Robert Chicane, so no costly damage caused. But it just goes to show that not much runoff available here at Donington Park.
No, I can show you, unfortunately, a few videos where I've ended up in the wall here at Donington Park and various other tracks on the calendar that were going to BSR. Maybe we'll get into that, hopefully not for my sake. But it is a fantastic track. You did pick probably one of my favourite tracks to go out on a test day. And is it something in the sim that you've quite often sort of clicked with? Donington, sort of what's been what track would you be most looking forward to if you were racing, I suppose?
It'd be Donington Park for me. Similar to Alton Park being your home track, Donington Park's literally it's 10 minutes down the road from my mum's house. If the wind's in the right direction on a summer's day, you can actually hear the cars, and especially the bikes when they've got the bikes there racing. So it's it's my home track. So if there was ever an opportunity to get out there and compete, Donington Park would be the place to do it. So looking forward to this first round home. It's the one track I've not had to look corner names up for.
To be fair, during my first years of commentary, I still do actually. I have to have a track map next to me in case I get them messed up, to be honest. So don't be embarrassed by that at all. What car were you doing it? What car were you in when you were doing the track day? Did you say? I couldn't remember.
I can't remember if I did or not, but I took my own personal Nissan 350Z around there.
Oh, good choice.
Which was very, very good fun. Mainly made of rust because it's 15 years old and Japanese. Thankfully, these MX5s on track are made of pixels and they're also a lot newer.
I was going to say 350Z. My mate's got one of them. He sort of says the same thing about it falling apart a little bit, but they are wicked cars. I think they're fantastic machines, and they would be good fun around a track. So I think you picked quite well. The MX5s actually, as I mentioned, I was commentating on them at Brands Hatch at the weekend in real life, and to be honest, there was a whole selection of absolute pristine, beautiful ones that you just think they deserve to be thrashed around a track because low power, rear-wheel drive. They really do teach you a lot about driving, even in the sim world.
Oh, there's a reason iRacing use it as the rookie vehicle, for sure. It's one of the better vehicles just because of how much the car moves around. It's low-powered, it can be forgiving, but it teaches you all the basics, all the fundamentals of car control. And because everything happens that little bit slower, if it does go a little bit wrong, especially in some of the high-speed corners, you've got a bit more time to react to it and put it right before you end up in the barrier race over.
You absolutely do. We're actually now on board with Adam Delmont, and we are sort of starting to flex our muscles with these graphics, aren't we? In the top right, Cooper, that is Jason Cooper, currently leading the way. The time he's put in is a 1:16.67, and just behind him is Adam Delmont, I believe, and the gap pretty negligible, to be honest, 1:16.79, so less than a tenth of a second between Jason Cooper and Adam Delmont, as I just accidentally clicked off my live timing. In third place, that's Wayne Douglas, Andy McEwen in fourth, fifth is Luke Cooper, sixth Tom Griffiths, seventh Paul Cook, eighth is Michael Seal, with ninth being Nick Libbins and Kip Stevens, currently rounding out the top 10. But as Adam Delmont is hunkered up the back of the car in front of him, was he able to get a good enough slipstream to potentially jump himself into pole position? No, he was not. Very close. In fact, he couldn't really be much closer. 300ths of a second now separate Jason Cooper from Adam Delmont. And really, that you could almost see that in two ways, couldn't you, Reese? You could say, well, that's very close. You know, I tried my hardest. And, you know, looking at the positive aspect, you know, I'm not far away from the leader. He shouldn't pull away from me. But equally, the competitive mindset says, you know, if I was only 300ths of a second away, why couldn't I just be 300ths of a second ahead? It's so negligible, that difference. It can really start eating at you psychologically.
And it starts to show, especially with the slipstreaming qualities of these Mazdas. We know that we're going to have some really close racing. It's going to be very difficult to break away from the pack all the way through. And actually, as we talk about that, Andy McEwen's just gone up into P3 as well. Again, only 2 tenths back from the lead.
He hasn't actually. He's about to go through the final chicane. Now he's in a bit of a year one train. He's at the front of it, punching the hole in the air. His teammate behind him, number 7 of James Neve, just about to cross the line as well. Do either of them improve? I don't think they do. Alistair Hatcher in 18th position. I think he was just behind these couple of drivers and did actually manage to improve. There is the car of James Neve, obviously sporting the year one colours. For a long time in BSR, I believe Andy McEwen was the only one sporting year one. I think there's a bit more of a cohort now involved with the BSR yet again. Reese, I believe, I'm basically taking this out off your profile picture on Discord, but I believe you're part of the year one crew as well.
Yeah, I drive for them. We're a little mob-handed. Our colours tend to stick out, and we tend to show up in numbers. So yes, it's great. We've got some fantastic drivers in the team. Andy McEwen, obviously voice of British GT as well, has been leading the charge for us in MX5s, and we've got a few more drivers this season as well. Let's say likes of James Neve with us, and we've got Colin Sampson in here as well too tonight in the Art Deco livery car.
Colin's been around for quite a while actually in the BSR, so nice of him to jump over. We just had a quick look at I believe it was Adam McNally then. I think we were keeping an eye on for onboards. He was actually part of the very first broadcast I did way back when. Oh, there's a car that's jumped off on the outside. But yeah, he was part of the first broadcast I did way back when. I can't remember when it was actually. First lockdown in the UK. So what's that? March 2020, 2 years ago and a bit. With the Excite Racing crew. Always been very nice people. They always sent me a message giving me little updates and advice and everything like that. Back when we used to cover the PMRE series, which of course was actually well, I streamed the second lobby, I believe, and I believe year one covered the top lobby. So very nice of them to get me involved and actually give me a break on BSR MX5 Championship, actually, back in the day. So it was good fun. Looking forward to seeing how this one cracks on as well. Less than 5 minutes to go. Jason Cooper still leads the way. I'm just seeing if anybody out there is improving on their Sector 1s potentially. Wade Douglas has done well. He's got himself up to the top 5. Tom Griffiths all the way up into P3 now, so he's jumped ahead of Andy McEwen. There are the individual championships that we've been talking about, Pro-Am and Am, of course, with Jamie Gulliford leading the way in Pro-Am, and in the Am category is the 966 of Adam Fox. There's Jamie Gulliford, actually, and Adam Fox, I believe that is, all, well, both of them in the pit lane, trying to swap tyres. Now, this is an interesting strategy. For those of you who haven't jumped in and watched sim racing before too much, or any kind of racing in qualifying, in sim racing you are allowed as many tyres as you like, Reese, aren't you? And you might as well utilise them.
You are indeed, yes. Depending on the car, depending on the series, sometimes it's a benefit to be on the freshest tyres possible, and in other series it's best to be out there and just get as much temperature in them as well, depending on the series. So that's where sim diverges a little bit from real life. And I say it's one that you've really got to get on top of when you're finding those extra few temps. And as we talked about, the gap being so fine between our top two, things like time management is something that really comes into it, making sure they've got the heat, they've got it all prepped and done right, and they're not sliding the cars too much.
No, exactly, and these MX5s certainly fall into the category of fresh tyres are the best, don't they? Because as soon as you go out there, do your outlap, you pretty much got 2 laps of life in there to really put in the ultimate time. And these drivers are experienced enough now in these cars that they'll be able to do the ultimate time in those few laps as well. It's a bit of a difficult one, isn't it? I don't know about you, Reese, but I was always a little bit more... I needed to get into the rhythm of qualifying. I needed to put the laps together. I couldn't have just gone out, done 2 laps, come in, new set of tyres, gone out, done 2 laps again. I needed to get into a full-on rhythm. But a lot of these drivers, they'll be fully aware that that is how qualifying works. They'll have practiced it in practice, and they'll be fully on it right from the get-go.
Absolutely. I mean, you see Alistair Hatcher there getting up on 2 wheels through Redgate Corner there, and yeah, it's all about just having that confidence to bolt on the fresh tyres and just hit it from the get-go. It's not something I've ever been too great at, but yeah, these drivers seem to have got it all pretty nailed down, and we should have a frantic final 2 minutes of quali just here. Oh, just as Alistair goes wide, the first commentator's curse being delivered.
I was going to say, he's certainly having a frantic last couple of minutes, isn't it? If that's how he's treating his car and his fresh new tyres. Tom Griffiths jumping over towards him now. He's in 3rd place. Done quite well. He's also part of the Excite Racing crew, so he's teammates with Adam Delmont, who's actually just picked his way up into 2nd. Driver off the road there on the outside. I believe that's the car 595. Luke Cullen. No, he's in the pit lane, isn't it? So maybe 513 of Glenn Humberstone, unfortunately, having a little bit of a trip to the outside of the circuit. But Tom Griffiths nicely hunkered up with his 2 teammates to try and get that slipstream. You've already touched upon it, Reese, haven't you? But the slipstream is very important in MX5s. Especially,
and not just in the race, but, you know, it's all about making friends in qualifying, you know, working with your teammates. I don't know, it's one that McNally's on his own, and will that impact him throughout qualifying just here. But yeah, as we head into the final minute, it'll be eyes glued to the timing screen to see who can improve Jack. Oh, as I say that, Kip Stevens makes it all the way up into 4th place.
Oh yeah, that is a good improvement. He was sort of wavering down towards the bottom end of the top 10, wasn't he, at one point? But it looks like he's finally got himself together, finally got the track and the car together, maybe even just found some clean air, and on his 8th go, he's managed to put in a time which he'd probably be quite happy with, I imagine. And the interval between each driver, well, let's bring out Jason Cooper still on a 116.67, Adam Delmont still on a 116.70, so 300th of a second. Then you got to look back about a 10th and a half to find Tom Griffiths, and then 200ths of a second separate Tom Griffiths from Kip Stevens, third to fourth, and then Andy McEwen is only 300ths behind Kip Stevens. So, and actually, this is the closest one of all as the checkered flag drops. Andy McEwen and Wayne Douglas on identical lap times, 1:16.91. So, yeah, I'm guessing Andy McEwen just pipping Wayne because maybe it's the 3,000ths of a second, or maybe he managed to do it first. But there you go, there's the gaps up on your screen. As I said, the checkered flag drops, and it's waving everybody across the line now. So as Kip Stevens comes across the line, and the drivers all around him, they won't be able to improve their time. They'll have to be happy with what they have. Most drivers in the pit lane already, Reese. Is that something that you would often do? Maybe just jump in to try and ready yourself for the race?
It's always worth doing it as a practice, but a couple of people did stay out and improve. Luke Cooper jumped from 9th up to 8th, and I saw Craig McDonald also slot himself up to 17th, and Liam Stimpson's improved up to 23rd as well. So still people just finishing off their last laps and putting in some competitive times, but it's always worth practicing pit entry just in case something goes wrong in the race and you have to make use of them.
Simon Robson, the only driver who didn't make it out for qualifying. Now, according to my app, he made it out for 98% of a lap, but he didn't finish it for whatever reason. Glenn Humberstone, currently down in 27th place, is the only 2 remaining drivers to actually still be out there on circuit. Craig McDonald is as well, and they're just coming up to finish their lap time. Neither driver are going particularly quickly. Neither of them have improved in Sector 1, 2 or 3. Obviously not Sector 3, because they haven't crossed the line. But Craig McDonald did put his fastest lap time in that previous lap to put him up to 17th place. As it looks like the drivers, Glenn Humberstone included, are all coming in. So that will be the end of qualifying, and hopefully we'll be able to bring you the actual grid order as they spawn in. And in fact, actually, we'll be able to read it up for you in a second. There we go. Jason Cooper on pole position. Adam Delmont in 2nd place. Tom Griffiths in 3rd, with Kip Stevens finishing off the top 2 rows. Andy McEwen managed to get himself into the top 5, with Wayne Douglas in 6th, Adam McNally in 7th, 8th was Luke Cooper, 9th Michael Seal, and top 10 was Chris Warner. 11th Paul Cook, 12th James Neve, 13th Nick Clibbins, 14th Sam Smith, 15th Jamie Gulliford, with 16th Liam Silkstone, 17th was Craig McDonald, and 18th Douglas Stewart, 19th Luke Pullen, and rounding out your top 20 was Adam Fox. 21st Alistair Hatcher, 22nd Julian Schroer, in 23rd Liam Stimpson, 24th Craig Schill, 25th Mark Oliver, 26th was Colin Sampson, 27th was Glenn Humberstone, 28th was Chris Dixon, and rounding out the field just shy of 30, 29th place was Simon Robson. Reese, I'm going to put you on the spot. What are you expecting into turn 1? Carnage? Maybe first place pulling away? Maybe just a nice close battle between all the drivers? What are we expecting here?
I'm expecting it to be, maybe not carnage, but I'm expecting it to be plenty of action just as everyone's loading on in. I'm expecting to see plenty of 2, even 3 wide action going down into Redgate. And it'll be really interesting to see them work their way down the high-speed Craner curves and get themselves into some form of running order. But yes, I don't think we'll have any runaways. And oh, here come the lights.
Yep, for the record, I think it's going to be carnage as the red lights get on. MX5s are raring to go, and the BSR MX5 series is underway here at Donington Park. It's a good start by Jason Cooper. We're looking at Adam Delmont just about keeping his nose ahead of his teammate Tom Griffiths into turn 1. Andy McEwen from 5th on the grid, I believe, is already up on the inside of Kip Stevens, is forcing his way through into 4th by the looks of it. Number 17 of Wayne Douglas is just behind him, trying to maybe fit that in as well as they go down towards Hollywood and the Craner curves for the first time. Jason Cooper does lead the way in his number 1 car, the previous champion managing to go through old hairpin, sweep his way round without anybody putting any kind of pressure on him, really. Adam Delmont will be the first driver to try and apply that pressure. But right now, he looks fairly comfortable in second place, not close enough to maybe take any kind of lunges into the next 2 corners. It looks like Jason Cooper is fairly comfortable. Reese, that's about the dream start you'd want from a previous champion.
Oh yes, no, he's obviously finished last season on top, and he's started this season the way he finished last. But he's got plenty of cars in close company, and it's time to see if he can weather the storm, as there's a bit of smoke there at the back in Coppice. There's a car, I think that's Adam McNally. But he's got rejoining, and the car looks to be straight and in one piece, although he's lost a lot of track position there, Jack.
He has indeed. In fact, yeah, absolutely right. It was Adam McNally in the number 78. We're looking at him now all the way down into 25th position. Not where he would have wanted to be at the end of lap 1, losing 18 places in total. Jason Cooper still leads the way with Adam Delmont in second place, over the start-finish line for the first time. Tom Griffiths in third. Andy McEwen in fourth. Wayne Douglas in fifth. Kip Stevens losing out 2 positions on the opening lap in 6th position. There's a big puff of smoke in the background as we're hunkered up towards the back of one of the Excite cars, and this is Andy McEwen's view right now going through Old Hairpin. The fight for third place is on as the top 2 seem to be just about pulling away. And Reese, this is what happens, isn't it? When drivers start battling, you do end up losing a little bit of time to the drivers in front, and all of a sudden as Andy McEwen looks up the inside towards McLean's, it's not going to happen just yet, but you do see a bit of a breakaway pack when people start fighting.
Yes, the top 2 is starting to sprint clear now. It's all about timing those attacks so that you can make the overtakes cleanly, but also as well not lose too much time, because once you lose that slipstream, once you lose that toe, it's so hard to get it back. And you can see the pack's already fragmented. You've got 2 groups of 2s and groups of 3s up and down the field now, where people have been battling throughout these opening laps. See the car's getting lovely and sideways through the Robert chicane as well. But the top 10, they're kind of with each other as now. But yeah, that front 2, they've got about half a second lead as they cross the start-finish line to start lap 3.
Oh, big move up the inside by Wayne Douglas on Andy McEwen. I'm not sure if he just didn't see him coming, whether he missed his braking zone. Looked like maybe in his rearview mirrors he had an idea that Wayne Douglas might do that, and he's going to go side by side with him down the Craner curves as well. Wayne towards the left-hand side will be on the inside for the Craner curves, and he manages to get his car all the way ahead for Old Hairpin as well. No response just yet from Andy McEwen. That's given Tom Griffiths maybe a couple of seconds, half a lap maybe, to just have a little bit of a breather. And I tell you what, if Andy actually jumps onto the back of Wayne Douglas, then they could catch him. But if he jumps up the inside of Wayne, then he may well see third place and kiss it goodbye, unfortunately. Adam Delmont chucking everything in the kitchen sink at the moment at Jason Cooper, even trying to go off the track to gain just that extra couple of miles an hour. But it looks like Jason and Adam Delmont probably working together a little bit here, I would say, Reese. It doesn't look like Adam is really going to try and punish Jason until the couple of last minutes. This is a 4-race evening, I should say. Of course, so there's a long time to worry about it. But look at the back of Andy McEwen's car. It's got his teammate Michael Seal all over him.
Yeah, I don't think there's any team orders in place here. Michael Seal looks like he's going to make it 3 wide down into turn 1. Oh, no, he thinks better of it. McEwen's trying to go around the outside of Wayne Douglas as well. He runs wide, and I think Michael Seal's going to slide on through as well. No, they're still 2 wide, running down through the Craner curves. This is what we were talking about it being great and frantic action, not knowing which way to look in these MX5s.
Yeah, you're absolutely not wrong. That's for sure. And they're going through Old Hairpin again. Third place really is very truly up the road now from this little battle, and Michael Seal doing everything he can to try and get past McEwen and Douglas, but it wasn't going to work. I thought he was going to lunge him into turn 1, probably wisely didn't. McEwen going to the outside now around McLean's. Now I was going to say, he knows far better than that. He's commentated on enough people at Donington Park to know that that is never going to happen. I tried it once. He was commentating on me, and he even called it then that it wasn't going to happen. There you go, Andy. I've got you back. Up the inside, is he going to go for it? He is indeed towards the chicane. Yeah, making his intention shown very early. Wayne Douglas goes a little bit wider, conceding that inside line. And Andy McEwen, cannoning himself over the curves, manages to fit himself through.
Yes, but then, they get a second bite at the cherry with the slipstream down the straight, and all this is allowing the top 3 to stream away. It's now 4 seconds from McEwen. up to Griffiths. Griffiths actually probably closing slightly back in on Delmont. Oh, as we've got an instant, Seal and Douglas get together, and that sends Douglas round into a spin into turn 1. I don't know if he has managed to get back going. Not sure if there was any damage to the front of Michael Seal caused there or not as well. But just shows blink and you miss it here in the MX5s.
Yeah, absolutely. It was almost like Michael Seal showed his intention early, but there wasn't really that much room, and Wayne Douglas just decided not to give him the room. I'll leave that one up to the stewards because, of course, I believe they do have stewards here in the BSR. They certainly used to, so I'm going to assume they still do. As we look at one of the Year 1 TV cars that little bit further back, I believe. Where are we looking here? It's the 966. There we go. Adam Fox, 966. And now he pole position on the Pro-Am category, and he's still in first place in the Pro-Ams. Sorry, no, in the amateurs. My apologies. On the left-hand side, white is Pro, blue letters are Pro-Am, and the orange letters are Am. You can tell I've been away for a little bit, can't you, Reese? But Fox really mixing it here with the Pro-Ams.
Yes, he's not seeing classes there and thinking, you know what, play it safe for the class win. He's just trying to get the best overall position as he can. And fair play to him for having a crack. But he's got a few places in the lead over Hatcher. So the more cars he can put between the two of them, the safer he is. And as we talk about that, right back up at the front of the field, Delmont's just at the fastest lap of the race with a 16.7. So the front two still sprinting hard, still together nose to tail. But yeah, Tom Griffiths is caught him up. Maybe he's used some of that real life MX5 experience. And it's now a 3-horse race here at the front, and then quite a big gap back to the McEwen-Cooper-Warner battle.
I was going to say, it's quite impressive, really, for Tom Griffiths. Oh, looking at the inside, there is Adam Delmont. He's probably thought, okay, I've had enough of this. I'm not amused by sitting in second place. We've pulled away from fourth. I'm going to have a little bit of a pop at you now and see what I can get out of it. At the end of the day, Reese, coming second isn't the end of the world in the first race of a very, very long championship. There are an awful lot of races. I believe there's 40 races in total. In the BSR Tuesday Championship, the MX5 Championship. I'm not sure how their Thursday one works. I'm pretty sure it's exactly the same with the TCR cars, of course. But coming second in the first race of the season is definitely not to be sniffed at. It's better that than throwing it off completely.
I know, but still, he'll want to win. As Damon Hill once said, the only people that remember you if you finish second is your wife and your dog. And I'm sure that'll be words that are ringing Adam Delmont's head at the moment. But say, yeah, so he'll go for the win if the opportunity's there. But you're right, there's no sense in just throwing it off the road and turning solid points down the pan.
I'll have you know that lots of people remember me coming second and third, and that's mainly because I don't let them forget it. But it's still there, it's still warranted. Look at this though, as they go towards McLean's. Is that Delmont trying to force himself around the outside? Now we saw McEwen do this a little bit early on. Delmont didn't see that failed attempt, and it's actually he's been given a little bit more room by Jason Cooper. And here comes Tom Griffiths up the inside into Coppice. 3 wide doesn't work into that apex, and luckily they managed to sort themselves out. But through all of it, Adam Delmont did overtake Jason Cooper and to take first place away from the previous champion. I tell you what, going around the outside of McLean's race actually ended up working for Delmont. That's a brilliant overtake.
Oh, it's fantastic. It definitely takes 2 to tango, though. Jason Cooper has to give him the room to let that happen, because if he doesn't, they just end up going into the kitty litter, as we saw McEwen earlier in the race. So great respect from both drivers there.
That's what we like from the BSR Championship, isn't it, really? It's good sportsman-like. It always reminds me, I always liken it to national club racing, basically. And everybody's sort of in it to have fun, to try and sort of enjoy their sim racing. It's probably one of the highlights of the week. It's one of the opportunities maybe where they get to not put the kids to bed or something like that, and get a bit of a free night, a free hit, and jump on the sim and enjoy themselves. You don't want to jump on the sim and come off more stressed than you were. Of course, competition is heated. People like to win and everything like that. But at the end of the day, that is what these championships start out for. It's so everybody, a group and a community come together and actually enjoy their racing and spend time and hopefully make friends. And that's the magic of sim racing, because at the end of the day, Reese, unlike real racing, if someone does crash into you, it's annoying, but at least you don't have to pay for the damages.
Yeah, you can press the escape button and no harm done. You might be a bit ticked off and have to make yourself a cup of tea afterwards, but yeah, it's not financial ruin. Yeah, as I say, it is still, unlike real life racing, it is still a hobby. And I say it's one that I'm sure these chaps are all massively enjoying right now.
Yeah, you say that a cup of tea. I think a cup of tea wouldn't have cut it for a lot of my real life stuff, so you're absolutely right. It's preferable. As Jason Cooper comes up the... sorry, no, it's not Jason Cooper going up the inside, is it at all? It's Tom Griffiths forcing his way through on the ex-champion here. Oh, I say the ex-champion, he's the reigning champion. That's disrespectful. He is the reigning champion. Jason Cooper trying to hold his own around the outside and up the inside into Crater Curves. And look at that slide by Tom Griffiths going through Old Hairpin, just about holding on to the position. But a fantastic move there by Griffiths, just sliding his way through Redgate. Adam Delmont has been allowed a couple of seconds breathing room as there's only 4 laps to go.
And that's what we were talking about, you know, as two people fight, it's about making those moves and not letting the other people get away. You saw the front 3 break away because of that fight for P4 in the race, and now P2 and P3, fantastic action down into the Old Hairpin, but it's let Adam Delmont scamper off a little bit down the road, and it's whether Adam Griffiths can now catch him up. Oh, sorry, Tom Griffiths can now catch him up. I've amalgamated the two there. Can now catch him up and post the fight. Potentially even into the final lap here. But yeah, fantastic fights all the way through the field. We've got this pocket of 4 cars just here. See if anyone can make a lunge, make any moves into the Robert chicane, or they're going to set each other up for Redgate corner.
If we did amalgamate those two drivers, it would make one hell of a driver, that's for sure, isn't it? It would be pretty unstoppable. This is Liam Stimpson in the year 1. Adam Fox, isn't it, in the year 1 car, all following Liam Stimpson. Then we got Craig McDonald and Nick Clibbins. So this is the fight, I believe, for 15th place to crack into the top 15. They have got Luke Cullen just ahead, but realistically, I think with 3 laps to go, they're probably going to try and sort this out amongst themselves, and they won't have too much time to really think about moving any further forward. But every one of them will be wanting to win in this little train race, and it doesn't matter where you're driving, who you're driving for, what position you're driving in. You just want to beat the people that are around you and have a good, enjoyable race, don't you?
Indeed, yeah, and that's it. We talked about it all being very friendly, gentlemanlike competition, but I'm sure as they start to see the timer ticking on down, the red mist will descend. Actually, as we're talking, I think there's been a swap for P2 as well. Jason Cooper's made it back up to P2, ahead of Tom Griffiths as well. And yeah, look at that though. Look at that gap. Adam Delmont's managed to run away. I think the Excite driver has potentially got this one in the bag, and Andy McEwen's still holding strong in 4th as well. But yeah, as I say, blinking you'll miss it in the MX5s.
Luke Cooper is actually doing a great job at catching up to Andy, isn't he? He didn't let him get ahead, and that's probably because the fight for... Well, it's now actually Chris Warner, and now it's Luke Cooper again. It's quite often stopping and changing behind Andy McEwen, and I don't think they'll be able to catch Andy now into 2 laps to go. However, this battle for 2nd place is not yet finished. Jason Cooper regaining that one, just like you said, Reese, but it looks like Tom Griffiths with a slightly better run. Cooper almost having to come off the throttle on the outside of the Old Hairpin as they go towards McLean's. It's going to be Griffiths on the outside. Now, we've seen this move attempted with varying amounts of success. We're actually seeing a different strategy here for the move. He's always faking it around the outside, trying to get that lovely cutback and go towards Coppett. It didn't quite work for him. Jason Cooper, I'm sure, knows how to lead a race, knows how to lead a battle, and he won't be put off. He won't be put under pressure lightly. And he won't crack under it, that's for sure. Going into the last couple of laps, in fact, going into the last lap almost, the Excite car still in 1st position of Adam Delmont, and followed by Jason Cooper, Tom Griffiths, Andy McEwen. And then 5th place is Luke Cooper, Michael Seal, Chris Warner, and then Paul Cook as the white flag flies. And, well, if you're Jason Cooper at this point, Reese, you're probably getting a little bit nervous.
Yeah, the white flag fever's going to set in now. Will they make any desperate lunges, or will they just settle for good points? Obviously, we've got the reverse grid, so this might be, depending on how big a reverse is, this might be the best opportunity for some of these drivers for a great finish tonight, depending on how they can fight back. So they've got to take it. They've got to take the opportunities as they come. Obviously, without throwing it off the road. No, fantastic. And those two are absolutely glued together. Will he make a move into McLean's or not? Kicking up some dust on the outside. Trying that over-under again. It's not quite there. Jason Cooper, you might have this. Might have this. Tom Griffiths is all over him, though. This is fantastic action in the MX5s. I can't wait for the next 3 races. It looks like Adam Delmont's got the win in the bag, but it's who's going to finish P2.
Well, you say he's got the lead in the bag. These two, I'm sure, will be keen to see and try and take advantage of any mistakes. But Tom Griffiths is going to force a mistake from Jason Cooper. Is Cooper giving him the room? Maybe, maybe not. They both launch themselves over the curves and get the back end spat out as well. Adam Delmont wins here at Donington Park, and Jason Cooper will take second place ahead of Tom Griffiths. You can't say they didn't push each other right up until the end. Andy McEwen comes home in fourth, with Luke Cooper rounding out the top five himself, and Michael Seal, who finished in sixth. Chris Warner in seventh, was constantly swapping positions. Paul Cook was in eighth, with Kip Stevens in ninth, and James Neve rounding out the top 10. Jamie Gulliford, Sam Smith, Wayne Douglas, Luke Pullin, and Liam Stimpson, your top 15. And a driver that's probably worth pointing out there is Wayne Douglas, isn't it, Reese? He was fighting right at the front for a substantial amount of time, then obviously got turned around by Michael Seal. Blame, again, we're not going to try and speculate on. But a good recovery drive from him to finish into 13th place.
Yes, you'll just be hoping for a fortunate number now on that reverse grid, and try and piece his evening back together. Obviously, if he does get a strong reverse grid, he might be the pick for the win. And big shout out as well to Jamie Gulliford winning the Pro-Am class as well. He kind of slipped under the radar there. We didn't talk about him too much. And obviously Adam Fox winning the Am category as well.
Good thing you're here, because yes, that did slip under my radar a little bit. The excitement for second place overall was just of a paramount importance as we were coming across the line. A lot of drivers doing their best little flourishes as they go down towards the pit lane. Hopefully we'll be able to have plenty more action, very similar to what we saw in races 2, 3 and 4. If anybody has watched BSR racing before, you're probably going to know that it gets a little bit dicey as we go into the reverse grids. It makes very entertaining racing, though. I believe we'll be able to do the reverse grid draw. Now, how we used to do this is we used to bring up a spinning wheel, and we used to do all of those things. And I'm just wondering, we've spanned the wheel, and it's number 12 that's been pulled out of the hat, actually. So, just like that, we've got the reverse grid number, and that is 12th position. That will be, I believe, Sam Smith. That means on pole position, as he was in 12th. That means Adam Delmont will be put all the way back to 12th. Worse, couldn't it, on reverse grid? You do fear for the worst when someone says that it could be anywhere between 10th and 29th. You do fear that after winning a race, you're going to be punished by going all the way back.
You do indeed. No, that's worked out pretty well for Adam Delmont. I'm sure if you'd have given him a choice, 12 would have been up there with his. You've got to feel for Wayne Douglas, though. He had that instant in race 1 with Michael Seal. Again, not a portion in blame there. And he's just missed out on reverse grid pole. So his evening's gone from kind of bad to worse with that reverse grid draw there, because he's not gained any places at all.
Yeah, I absolutely didn't even notice that for Wayne Douglas, of course. Finishing in 13th, that is a bit of kick in the teeth, isn't it? And as a driver, how do you come back from that then? What's your sort of theories of, in the sim world? Do you sort of walk away from your sim? Do you maybe grab a cup of tea or anything like that? Because there is a little bit of a break now because, of course, they've got to jump into a new server. From your perspective, is that something you would do? Go and get a biscuit, go and try and take your mind off it, and then come back to the sim with a fresh face? Or would you sit there, mull it over, maybe get a little bit angry or whatever, and try and use that red mist as motivation almost into the next race?
Yeah, I'd mute my mic. I'd watch the replay back at least 5 times. I'd simmer away. I'd grit my teeth, and then I'd make sure I'm braking a couple of meters later into turn 1 on the next race. It's probably not the best mind management, but it's what gets me going. But yeah, I'm never want to calm down first. It's all about just going out there and getting that better result in race 2, I suppose. But yeah. I'm not sure. We'll see how Wayne Douglas takes it, I say, in race 2. But yeah, starting from P13, he's got the race winner in front of him as well, so there'll be no easy pickings at the start for him. But a person that will be quite happy with his starting position is Jamie Gulliford. Not only did he win the Pro-Am class in race 1, but he's now starting P2 in race 2, and he's got over a dozen cars between him and second place in class. So I'm sure he'll be grinning like a Cheshire cat in between races. And I'm sure he'll be dunking his biscuits with glee.
I was going to say that's a good shout, actually, because with those Pro-Am splits and everything, it's not just the pros that get, unlike some real life championships and maybe some sim championships, I haven't come across them yet. you sort of qualify or you do the races and everything like that, and then no matter what the finishing order, they put the pros at the front, they put the pro-ams afterwards, and they put the ams. Even if a pro-am would come top 3, they would put them back into 12th position. That's not how it works here in the BSR, is it? Which is a bit of a breath of fresh air for me because, as I said, in the real world championships, I can get a little bit painful. I was an am in a particular championship, and oh, don't get me wrong, I wasn't mixing it with the pros too much, but some of the other drivers were. And they used to get very frustrated at the fact that you were put behind some slow and almost dangerous pros, even though you were slightly quicker than them. So, and that's almost a way of punishing them, isn't it? You don't want that. You sort of want to be able to mix with the drivers that you're the same speed as.
Oh, it gives everybody an opportunity to drive and race on their own merits, regardless of, classes at the start of the season. I'm sure Jamie Gulliford will be sat there thinking he can probably take some big scalps. He might be eyeing a podium or a top 5 here in race 2, if he can hold on. But you have got some of the quicker guys. We saw the gap that Delmont, Cooper and Griffiths managed to pull over the field there in race 1. And they've got to be thinking from, P10, 11 and 12 respectively, can we make it back to the front? They're quite short races at 15 minutes. So there'll be plenty of action, plenty of overtaking, and they'll have to take some risk if they do want to catch guys at the front by the end of the race.
Wayne Douglas, who we've already mentioned, obviously starting in 13th place, he is pretty, we saw, he's almost, if not pretty much just as quick as the top 3 or 4 that we saw in that race, breaking away, of course. I don't believe that the top 3 in that race were actually that much quicker than, say, the top 10. It's just the fact that obviously as soon as you start fighting, you end up losing a massive amount of time to the people in front of you. And a lot of these drivers have been in this championship for a long enough time to realise that. But the reverse grid is particularly important, isn't it? Because if your competitor moves off very quickly, gets through the field, the last thing you want to do is start losing time because you want to be in their slipstream. So you've really got to follow them through. So Wayne Douglas will probably be trying to do exactly that.
Indeed, Jay, he'll be hanging with them. He's got the speed, as we know. He's putting McEwen under pressure in race 1 for 4th place. So yeah, it will just be seeing how he can, hang on for it, how he can take those opportunities. I'm sure we'll have some very spicy first laps coming on up.
Ooh. If no other word describes BSR, it's spicy. That is the word. It's the quintessential word for it. There's always a little bit of bite. There's always something that's going on the grid that you can probably make a story about. So hopefully nothing too major, but it's something that we quite often like to grab onto as spectators and commentators, isn't it, Reese? It's something that you always like to, if there's been a little bit of tension or there's a little bit of drama, say Michael Seal versus Wayne Douglas. We're not suggesting that there's any real malicious intent, but it's a little something to see. Ooh, will that develop? Will that be something to focus on?
I'm sure it sticks in Wayne Douglas's mind. I think we've got the results ready now as well. We're going to see some more suave view on graphics coming right up.
And there they are. Adam Delmont confirmed race winner, 2.1 seconds ahead of Jason Cooper. Tom Griffiths just behind him in 3rd place, like we saw. Andy McEwen a couple of seconds back in 4th, with Luke Cooper in 5th. 6th was Michael Seal. 7th was Chris Warner. 8th was Paul Cook. Kip Stevens was in 9th. And rounding out the top 10 was James Neve. And we've got even more for you. In 11th place and winning the Pro-Am category is Jamie Gulliford. Sam Smith in 12th, with 13th being Wayne Douglas. 14th, Luke Pullen. 15th, Liam Stimpson. 16th, Nick Clibbins. 17th, Adam Fox, winning the AM category. And 18th was Craig McDonald. 19th was Craig Schill. With 20th, it was Mark Oliver. And the last page, but not least, of course, was Douglas Stewart in 21st and Glenn Humberstone in 22nd. And that rounds out the drivers who finished on the lead lap. Now, to be eligible for a reverse grid, you are allowed to be 1 lap down in BSR championships. So Colin Sampson in 23rd and 24th, Alistair Hatcher were eligible for reverse grids. However, Simon Robson in 25th was 2 laps down. Chris Dixon in 26th was 5 laps down. 27th was Julian Schroer, is 9 laps down. Adam McNally ended up retiring with 11th after just 2 laps, I believe. He was 11 laps down, and Liam Silkstone, it was 29th and 12 laps down. So you've potentially Reese, haven't you? If you ended up DNFing that first round, the 3 more races, how do you pick yourself up mentally from that one then?
Oh, if I've DNF'd, I am off for a cup of tea at that point. And Adam McNally, yeah, he'd have dusted himself down. He might have spectated the race still, to see where people were strong. But he's got to think he's starting P28. He needs a very strong start. He needs to pick himself up, make a few places on that opening lap. And then, yeah, all's not lost. And that's the beauty of having 4 short, rapid-fire races like we've got here tonight, is the fact that with a DNF in race 1, he can pick himself up. Race 2, make a few moves, maybe break top 15, and then slowly rebuild his night from there. We could see him very well challenging for the top 5 by the end of the evening, and I'm sure that's what they'll be hoping from P28.
Well, it's exactly that, isn't it? It's a 40-race calendar, like we've touched on. We've only had 1/40th of this entire season, which only lasts, for a couple of weeks. So, there really is no point dwelling on it, is there? There's so many more points up for grabs. People will miss weeks. They'll have more DNFs. There'll be more bad luck. Hopefully, you just sat there thinking, okay, well, at least tonight, maybe my bad luck is over, and karma can come back and actually treat me with some half-decent results.
Yeah, and you're right. 40 races. It's such a long championship. I can't think of any real-life championship where there's 40 races for a season, and there'll be so many twists and turns. But he's already lost out on some points. Adam Del Monte's banked his first race win of the season already. It only takes 2 or 3 of those as an advantage, and before you know it, we might end up with a bit of a runaway at the front. So if you do have bad luck compounding, which starting at the back pack might happen, you need to be careful because it could all very well go off the rails. But a chap like Adam, he's been around for a long time racing for Excite. As you said, they're some of the nicest guys in sim racing. I raced against Adam myself at the weekend on iRacing, and he beat me as well. But we won't dwell on that for too long. But as I say, one of the nicest. Racing in the Porsche Cup
nice.
at Hockenheim. But he was he was very quick. I think he loves that car. We was talking to one of his old teammates last week, and apparently it's impossible to drag him out of it. But they've managed to get him into a Mazda MX5 tonight. But yeah, hopefully his luck turns.
I was going to say, I believe I was commentating on a next gen series, and they had a Porsche series. It was actually one of my last series with them, and I'm pretty sure the Excite team turned up for that one. And that, to be fair, the Porsche is an extremely enjoyable car as well, isn't it? It's difficult to master. The rear end turns around, it seems, in its own will. I can't ever seem to make it stop spinning. But it's an extremely satisfying car, I imagine, when you get right.
I wouldn't know. I've not got it right yet. But no, it is. And in a lot of ways, it's like our MX5s on steroids because the car moves around a lot. Obviously, everything happens a bit quicker because there's a lot more power there. But there's not a lot of downforce. Those cars don't have ABS or traction control. So you'll be finding the cars having a lot of slides coming out the corners, similar to how we saw the MX5s doing coming out the old hairpin in race 1.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It is very difficult, but the MX5, like you mentioned, it's a fantastic car to teach you all of those skills, isn't it? So, although yes, the Porsche has a lot of downforce, and we have a lot of even the Porsche Cayman GT4. That would be a good step up. That's like almost a good interim car, isn't it, between MX5 and the Porsche sort of highest levels of Porsche racing, and it does stand you in good stead for basically anything you want to drive out there, the MX5. And as you said, it's the reason why iRacing use it. It's also the reason that people, even though they've done their rookie season, they want to keep playing in the MX5 because it is so much fun.
It really is. And sometimes it's good even for a more established driver to go back to MX5s, go back to the roots and follow that through. And, we've got some very experienced iRacers on track tonight. And they're all still, plugging away at the MX5, driving it at a very high level. I think we've got race 2 just around the corner in a moment. And yeah, really looking forward to the action, diving in to see what they can provide for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Race 2 should be full of action. 12 reverse grid, of course, ladies and gentlemen. So trust me, if you're tuning in for BSR for the first time, you haven't seen anything yet. You're about to see the full force of BSR racing around Donington Park with the reverse grid. Sometimes it could be 12, sometimes it could be 25. You just don't know, and that's one of the sort of beauties of the random reverse grid race, because you don't. I've seen a lot of people, and Dave Chapman was always very skilled at this for some reason. But some people actually used to play the field in terms of reverse grid races. They used to plan for a reverse grid. We'll talk about that a little later on, because you can't do that in BSR very well. He, for some reason, did. Jason Cooper is not on pole position, sorry. It's number 27 of Smith is on pole. 14 of Jamie Gulliford, as we mentioned before, the Pro-Am driver, started in second place. Neve is in third, with Stevens in fourth, Cook in fifth. Sixth is Warner. Seventh is Michael Seal. Eighth is Cooper as well. McEwen in ninth. Griffiths in the top 10. 11th, Cooper. 12th is Adam Delmont. 13th is Luke Bullen. 14th is Liam Stimpson. 15th, Nick Clibbins. 16th is Fox, the number 996, and the leading amateur driver. 17th, McDonald. 18th is Shell, and we've already got the lights on our screen, so we can't even take you through the rest of the order. But with Smith in pole position, how can he get away? Will, looks like Oliver's slightly struggling. No, he isn't. That's just the graphics going a little bit mental. James Neve in third position, looking up the inside. It's not going to happen for him just yet, as the other year one car actually still sat in second place. It's very, very close. The top three are as they were as they go through Redgate for the first time and down towards Hollywood. There's a little bit of mixing and matching towards the back end of the leading pack, shall we say, but the top four very much together, as it looks like Neve looking up the inside of the Pro-Am driver, Jamie Gulliford, as we have a spinner at the very front of the field. That's the lead driver of Smith, I believe, the number 27, just veering off towards the left-hand side, and that's a big shame for Sam Smith, because he's losing an awful lot of places. It could have been a lot worse. He could have ended up in the tyre wall race, but it's not good for him after drawing that pole position. And there's a spinner in the middle of the park as well, and that's going to collect a fair few drivers. Unfortunately, one of the year one cars has got off. A few drivers on the outside.
I think that might be. Is that Andy McEwen?
It may well be. I haven't, unfortunately, got a list of drivers in front of me. I haven't got their timings or anything like that in front of me for this session. I'll try and get that up as soon as possible. But it's not ideal for the drivers towards the back end of the field, and that can be the danger of reverse grid racing. Looks like James Neve is still in third position, trying to hold off attack from everywhere else as they come across the line for the first time. It's Gulliford in the race lead, Stevens in second, Neve in third, Michael Seal in fourth, but just about to be overtaken by Cook.
Yes, no, they're fighting, they're dicing, they're starting to settle down. There's a lot of year one cars now sat at the front of the field, so hopefully they can work together. But Kip Stevens already up to P2, and he's got to be thinking, you know what, I'm in for a shout here. Potentially a win could be mine. But then you've got the Pro-Am leading the way, and as we talked about, not splitting the field up means that you can have these moments where you've now got a Pro-Am leading the field outright. Interestingly, Jason Cooper, from his starting positions, made it up to P6. He's got ahead of Adam Delmont, who's up into P8, and Tom Griffiths is still in P10. So those front breakaway leaders from race one, they're all having fairly mixed fortunes at the start, but they've all got away fairly drama-free. But still, Gulliford is leading the way with Stevens right behind him. Oh, and in fact, we're 3 wide now down the back straight towards Robert Chicane. So I don't know how this one's going to pan on out. In fact, Gulliford's slowed down. He's pulled over. He's let them go for some reason, I think. Oh, sorry, it's Kip Stevens to slow down to let them go. So maybe some contact, maybe a slowdown there on the inside of Coppice.
I mean, he may well have got a slowdown, but he still seems to be fairly slow, doesn't he, Kip Stevens? Maybe there's a hardware issue with the car or something. That's very strange, because if it was anything to do with the car, he would have just come into the pits, but he doesn't seem to be able to gain full throttle or something. Maybe we're getting a suggestion that it definitely was a slowdown, but it just looked a bit of an odd one, to be honest. So I suppose if you come out of Coppice, that is going to hurt you all the way down the next 2 straights, which absolutely covers you, and that's why he's down into just inside the top 10.
Yes, no, it's cost him. He's gone from challenging for the lead, and him alongside Gulliford have gone from P1 and 2 to P9 and 10. But James Neves now jumped to the front, and he's got Cook just behind him, and then Michael Seal in P3 as well. So it's a new look top 3 compared to last lap, and I'm sure probably next lap it might look slightly different again. Jason Cooper's made it to P4 with Delmont and Griffiths 5 and 6, and then you've got Cooper again in 7, and then you've got McDonald now leading the Pro-Am class with Gulliford right behind him, so plenty to fight for through the field. And looking down at the AM class, you've got Hatcher leading the way in P18. I think Adam Fox might have had an issue This has been shown on our screen as P25.
Yeah, and he's in the pit lane. Actually, he's just coming out of the pit lane, just in front of the leaders. So he'll be an early back marker for them to try and negotiate. As little packs are starting to open up now for the lead. I believe Neve, Cook, and Seal, James Neve, Paul Cook, and Michael Seal, just about together. And then Jason Cooper is Jolfus trying to catch up. Is Craig McDonald? Well, I was about to say he's defending, but to be honest, he wasn't doing much defending behind Jamie Gulliford, who, of course. In fact, actually, no, sorry. Craig McDonald, I believe, is the driver trying to attack Luke Cooper, I believe. Sorry, I might have got that a little bit mixed up. 996, Craig McDonald is ahead. So going down towards Old Hairpin. Luke Cooper, there is Luke, catching up to the back of Tom Griffiths, Adam Delmont, and Jason Cooper, who I'm sure probably have eyes set on top threes. Yet again, if the top 12 reverse grid gets pulled out, normally you see the top drivers from the previous race pulling through and able to get onto the podium yet again. Here is Alistair Hatcher. Pretty much got the AM category to himself at this point, as I think Dixon Sansom and Adam Fox are all struggling behind.
Yes, no, he's just got to keep it running, keep it going, not get involved in anything too silly. But obviously at the same point, where he finishes this race is where he starts race 3. So he'll be wanting to finish as high up to give himself some breathing room against the rest of the AMs. On the subject of people gaining as many places as possible, Adam McNally, we talked about in pre-race, saying that he'll be wanting to gain some places to atone for his bad luck in race 1. He's already up into 10th place, so what a fantastic recovery for him so far. He's just behind our 2 battling Pro-Am leaders, as we can see just here. And Jason Cooper's made it to P3, with Delmont and Griffiths behind him, so Paul Cook's fallen all the way back to P number 6.
Adam McNally has the best view in the house of Craig McDonald and Jamie Gulliford. As Jamie obviously started in 2nd place, it hasn't quite gone to plan for him. He's now all the way down to, well, I say all the way down, 7th is still a very good result, but he's fighting with Craig McDonald. But he won't be fighting for the time being, because actually Craig McDonald having to defend from Adam McNally through the lanes. Coming up towards Coppice now, what can McNally do? He's obviously showing that he wants to go up his inside. Maybe that's just to try and put Craig McDonald off. I always like to call it a psychological race move, when you're basically filling the mirrors of the car ahead, not necessarily with any intent to throw it up the inside, more to try and trick the driver to outbraking themselves. However, it looks like McNally has enough of his nose alongside to outbrake McDonald into the final chicane. Takes a lot of the chicane, has to be said, a lot of curb, and is able to just pip himself into that 8th position with Kip Stevens now trying to take advantage of the slightly slower Craig McDonald. That will be a bit of breathing room for Jamie Gulliford. I'm sure he'll be very pleased about that. Looking a little bit further forward, this is our race leader yet again, much like in race 1, Jason Cooper, who led most of race 1. Has to be acknowledged, even if he didn't. Even if he only came in 2nd place, a couple of seconds behind Adam Delmont. He's got Michael Seal just behind, and I believe, is that Adam Delmont, or is that a lapped?
Nope,
it is Adam Delmont.
Fourth, with Griffiths right behind him, playing out a bit of a replay of their race 1 fight from the midpoint of the race. But you've got those 2 year 1 cars now between the top 3 from race 1. So maybe Jason Cooper might be able to break away here, but I'm sure the year 1 guys will have something to say about that. McNally's still holding 7th, and Gulliford's now past McDonald for the Pro-Am lead as well.
Yeah, apologies. I'm not used to seeing James Neve and Michael Seal in the year 1 colours yet. That's why I got slightly confused. I thought one of them was a back marking Andy McEwen, but I'm absolutely wrong. So this is the top 6 that you can certainly see on your screen. Paul Cook is the driver that's right at the back of this breakaway train, even if there are little battles in it already. Oh, now Jason Cooper is starting to glitch in and out of existence, and that's a little bit painful if you're the drivers around him, isn't it, Reece? I'm sure you'll probably have more experience of it than I do, but if you're the year 1 cars trying to trace him down, the last thing you want to see is him lagging in and out, because you don't know where the car is, and if you're trying to make a move, that can be really dangerous.
For sure, it'll be very worrying for James Neve in 2nd place, not quite knowing where the leader is. However, at the same point as well, it'll also be worrying for Jason Cooper, because if he is having some connection difficulties, obviously if he drops on out, it'll send him back to the pits. It'll be like a mechanical failure in real life, and that lead of his will become a DNF, which I'm sure will be keen to avoid. So he'll be crossing his fingers and casting nervous glances That's his route. Hopefully it'll hold on for him. It seems to have stabilised the touch. But James Neave is definitely still. He's not going anywhere. He's holding strong in Jason Cooper's draft.
I have to say, James Neave is a big improvement since I was last seeing him. Quite a few of the drivers actually with big improvements since I last saw them, fighting towards the front of the order, and potentially back when I was last commentating, you would often see them maybe wavering, trying to get into the top 15. Might be slightly happy with that. But James Neave, certainly one of the drivers that has really impressed me since coming back to this championship, particularly tonight, because the car just looks under so much control, doesn't it? And I understand that Michael Seal behind is a teammate. He's another driver that has actually improved a lot. I remember when Michael Seal jumped into the BSR for the first time. Again, a little bit haphazard. I wouldn't say anywhere near dangerous or anything like that, but you can quite often feel like he didn't belong in the top 5, and now both of these drivers seem to be very composed in the MX5s. They seem very happy to be in these positions and actually gunning for race leads, and we need more of that, don't we, Reese? We need a lot of drivers who have the quality, because these reverse grid races do offer an opportunity where if you are calm and composed, you have an opportunity to get a really good result when normally you might not. But it's all about keeping the car under nice and controlled conditions.
I'm sure throughout the 40 races this season, there'll be multiple race winners, because there's definitely enough drivers in this series with the quality to get it done. That being said, James Neave has a big moment. And he's hit the inside wall of the Melbourne loop there. And hopefully the car's not too damaged, but he's going to be tumbling down the order. I'm not sure where he's going to rejoin. I think it's P11, maybe even P12. He's back into the field now. Hopefully that car, the left-hand side of it looks quite damaged. Hopefully his steering's not too bent. He'll find out as he hits the brakes for turn 1, nice and gingerly. What a shame for him. So we've now got Seal sandwiched between Delmont and Cooper in the top 3. Just shows, drop of a hat, anything can change here in Masters.
Well, I do apologise if I've given you the commentator's curse there, James Neave. That was absolutely gutting. After I was being so impressed, and then it just looked like he dropped it, Reece. Did you manage to get a better look at it? Or maybe we'll have a chat about it in a minute, because it looks like the Michael Seal is that Michael Seal we're currently looking at? It's 57. Yes, it is, actually. So this is the fight for the top 3, potentially still. No, Jason Cooper is away with the fairies, so Michael Seal is actually fending off Tom Griffiths and Adam Delmont, the 2 Excite drivers. Seal not really going defensive, and in fact braking a little bit earlier than Griffiths, who slots his way up the inside and manages to take that second place away from Michael Seal, who thought he was going to take advantage, and all of a sudden he was in second place, probably very happy about it, and now he has to settle back down to 3rd as a back marker almost gets in the way. It almost looked like the Excite drivers were sort of planning that one, as Seal goes around the outside into Redgate. Griffiths holding on to the inside for the time being. Is there going to be a contact with Adam Delmont? There isn't for the time being, but as they go down towards Hollywood and Craner Curves, it is going to be side by side for 3rd position. Doesn't look like Michael Seal can quite have the pace and hold on to this top 3 selection just for the time being, but as he tries to switch back into old hairpin, anything can happen, Reece.
Indeed, and this is where, maybe a bit of racecraft. Michael Seal, he's improved a lot over the last 12 months or so, but a bit of race IQ here. If he can just slot in behind these guys that might have a fraction more pace than he does, he can use their slipstream to kind of pull him away from the rest of the field, hopefully. That's got to be his aim at this point, because still plenty of cars. You've got Paul Cook sat there in P5, next on the list of people that probably quite like to overtake Michael Seal. But it looks like Jason Cooper is well away. He's got a 2.5 second lead over Tom Griffiths, and it's a further second back from Griffiths with this fight of Delmont and Seal. And Seal's not letting him get away by any stretch of the imagination. He's avoiding the fate of James Neave through the chicane there. It's such a tricky final corner. You have got to feel for him. Just one bad bounce off the curbs, and that can send you round. Michael Seal, he still thinks he wants a podium here. He's looking. He's gone the outside. He's tried the over-under, and he's actually hit the back of Adam Delmont, pushed him wide onto the grass. Now he's up the inside into Hollywood. Too wide through the Craner Curves. Paul Cook's looking for a way to get involved. There'll be no way through there, and they've gone back to single file as they approach the braking point for the old hairpin. But getting a little bit physical, using the bumpers. Thankfully, they don't have to worry about repair times between races, or have they got enough spare parts so they can really have at it in each of these races tonight.
I was going to say, it's probably why Ginetta aren't in the E-Series business, because they can't make money off the bonnets being broken. So it's a bit of a cynical way of looking at it, but trust me, when you've broken enough bonnets, you start to get cynical about it. Tom Griffiths has pulled away, hasn't he? As much as almost Jason Cooper has, realistically. It's those top two, with only 2 laps to go, are absolutely loving life right now. Adam Delmont just holding on. Doesn't look like he's really worrying too much, but he is holding on just about for Michael Seal, who's throwing everything at him. And with only 1 lap to go, just about, there we go, final lap of the race, he's only going to have to do it for maybe 2 or 3 more major overtaking opportunities. As we see a little bit further back, of course, Jamie Gulliford's still leading the Pro-Am category, and Hatcher, still Alistair Hatcher, of course, leading the way in the AMs in the 964 machine. So some good points being scored by all, and obviously various different classes enjoying themselves, hopefully, as well. As we're having a look at the number 14 here, and that is Jamie Gulliford, the leader of the Pro-Ams, of course. On to the last lap they go, the 964 of Alistair Hatcher, the leader of the AMs, on your screen for the time being. Maybe a little bit quiet out there for him. Almost as quiet as this man, Jason Cooper, who's only got about 2 or 3 corners left to go. And look at Michael Seal and Adam Delmont still swapping positions, almost swapping paint and bumpers towards the back of McLean's. We're going to focus on our race leader and reigning champion. He came second in race 1. He looks like he's going to have first sewn up for the second race of the season as he comes through the final chicane. Ever since he's got into the race lead, he's looked pretty invulnerable. He's taken all the pressure he had to, and he's pulled away and put in the qualifying times when he's needed to as well. Jason Cooper takes the checkered flag from Tom Griffiths, and Paul Cook will round out the podium. Michael Seal will come across the line in 4th place. Kip Stevens in 5th. And if you'll notice, there's a driver missing that was once in a battle, and that is Luke Cooper in 6th. But Adam Delmont in the number 77 comes home in 7th place. Now, Reese, when you see a driver spawn back to the pits that quickly after a checkered flag, it probably means they're not very happy.
No, definitely not. And there's been plenty of incidents there in the final lap as well. Not just with Adam Delmont, but also as well, Jamie Gulliford's showing on my timing screen as he's tumbled right the way back down to P20. Craig McDonald now is showing as our Pro-Am winner from the race. So drama kicked off plenty back in the field. And yes, it really did mix it up. Whereas we thought we were having a straight fight between Seal and Delmont for the final podium position, Paul Cook pops up and takes that final step. And yeah, we had a change of lead for the Pro-Ams. But yeah, really the AMs and the Pros, Jason Cooper and Hatcher, both having it plain sailing, but middle of the field was absolute mayhem from start to finish.
Yeah, they were. Now, the reverse grid is 20th position for race 3 of the evening. We'll bring you up all the final results in a couple of minutes' time once they've come through our systems, and we'll be able to get them on the graphics for you. I can tell you, though, P20, Reese, it's a bit of a different ball game, isn't it? It's going to be a bit difficult for the drivers who, from 12th place, if you win the race and then you start 12th, you can get through the order. But if you start 20th, that is a different kettle of fish.
It is, but then at the same point, Jason Cooper's showing such mighty pace. A podium in race 1, a win in race 2. He's got to be thinking, even from P20, anything's possible. The field really did get mixed up there. It looks like Chris Dixon will be our race 3 pole sitter with Colin Sansom on the front row, so different front row sitters just there. But yeah, the field got so mixed up. It will be a case of, who can hit the front early and who can generate that gap away. But yeah, it could be anyone's. But yeah, Jason Cooper, he's got to be flying high with confidence right now. Same as Tom Griffiths as well. Obviously, won race 1 and then 2nd place in race 2. He's got to be full of confidence as well. And I say, McNally, I think, had an instant in the end because where he'd made it up into the top 10, he's P14, so he'll be starting P6. So again, another opportunity for redemption for him.
Yeah, one of the drivers that we sort of noted, there were a few drivers, weren't there, that actually fell off the outside of McLean's, I believe, and got involved in an incident. Something we didn't really ever get to touch on again, mainly because there was so much action out there on circuit when the cameras were live. But that one driver who sort of that stuck out for me. Andy McEwen, he was all the way down in about 24th position. He managed to make his way back up to 10th, but a few other drivers weren't so lucky. Glenn Humberstone only finished 4 laps, and that was probably something to do with those incidents. Craig Schill as well. We'll talk about that in a couple of minutes' time, because I believe we can finally get the finishing results up on our screen for you in a second. There we go. Jason Cooper taking the race victory. 2.5 seconds ahead of Tom Griffiths in second place. Paul Cook was in third, about 5 seconds back from the race winner. Michael Seal in fourth. Kip Stevens in fifth. Luke Cooper was in sixth. Seventh was Adam Delmont, with eighth being Nick Clibbins. Ninth, Craig McDonald. And 10th was Andy McEwen. In 11th place, you see Chris Warner. 12th was Sam Smith. 13th, James Neve, with 14th being Adam McNally. 15th was Douglas Stewart. 16th was Alistair Hatcher. And lead, I think he won the AM class victory as well. Apologies if I missed out the Pro-Am. 17th, Liam Stimson. 18th, Julian Schroer. 19th, Colin Sampson. And in pole position, will be in 20th place, finishing 20th place, but will be on pole position, is Chris Dixon. 21st, and a lap down, Jamie Gulliford. 22nd, and a lap down was Adam Fox, sorry. 23rd, Luke Pullen, 2 laps down. 24th, Glenn Humberstone, 8 laps down. 25th, Craig Schill, 9 laps down. 26th, Mark Oliver, 12 laps down. Julian Schroer appears again, some reason. I'm guessing that's a glitch. 28th was, 27th will actually be Adam McNally, 11 laps down. And 29th will be Liam Silkstone, 12 laps down. With all that to come, because first of all, we're going to go to a very, very quick break. Ladies and gentlemen, please do subscribe to Year One TV. Leave a comment, leave a like, and anything else you want to do. We're going to go for a very quick break so we can have a bit of a drink. I've forgotten that you can actually see me, so it's nice to illustrate that for once. And we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
See you soon.
to round 3 of the BSR MX5 Championship here at Donington Park. Reverse grid of 20, of course. And, well, Reese, you joined me again in the studio. Quite nice to have that little break opportunity to go to the toilet and get a drink, even for everybody spectating as well.
I'm grateful to catch our breath after that. It's been a frantic first 2 races. Hard to believe we're already halfway through the night already. But yeah, 20-car reverse grid and a really mixed up grid as well, especially after the carnage that was the final lap of race 2. There was so much happening there. People rising through the order, people tumbling as well. You had Adam Delmont slipping out the podium places with his fight with Michael Seal. And you had the Pro-Am race win decided on the final lap as well. And so there'll be people looking to capitalise in their reverse grid slots in race 2.
Yeah, it can be. Racing is a little bit difficult, isn't it? Sometimes it's one of those sort of sports where, you have to just put it behind you. I always found that a little bit difficult. Anything, even getting a corner wrong or something and not getting the ultimate lap time, I think my brother always used to keep saying when he was coaching me is, the next corner is the more important thing, and not the one you've just done. It's the next corner. Don't ruin it, sort of thing. And that's the same for the actual races. So, although there have been some highs, there have been some lows already, it's about how you come back, isn't it? It's about how you answer them and move on to the next race, because we've still got half an hour of racing, of course, to come.
And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of twists and turns along the way. Obviously, you got guys like Jason Cooper starting P20. Can he survive the maelstrom that will inevitably be the first few laps? And, can the guys that are starting maybe, a bit nearer the front than maybe they are on pace-wise, can they break away? Can they, secure themselves some really strong positions, not just overall, but also class-wise as well? I think we're going to get the field starting to grid in the next couple of minutes, just as we're heading on through. The guys are just finishing their final warm-up for race 3.
Yeah, so by all means, stick around and catch up for race number 3, because P20 reverse grid will be one to look out for, that's for sure. I mean, that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to speculate over what I expect or might happen, but it's going to be very entertaining. And you don't want to miss it here at the BSR, so please do like and subscribe to make sure you're following along for the entire season, obviously, because we'd like to have you along on the journey. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in and commenting as well. It's a delight to have you. Plenty of questions, and nice to see that people are actually answering the questions in the chat as well, so they don't have to wait for me to get in between races to actually respond. So loads of engagement. Absolutely love it. Right. We're going to go to race number 3. We're going to go through the grid order, of course, as well. So, in fact, there we go. Live pictures on your screen now. In pole position is Chris Dixon. Second place, Colin Sampson. And third was Julian Schroeth. Fourth is Liam Stimpson. Fifth being Alistair Hatcher. Sixth is Douglas Stewart. Seventh, Adam McNally. Eighth, James Neve. Ninth, Sam Smith. Rounding out your top 10, Chris Warner with Andy McEwen in 11th. Craig McDonald in 12th. Nick Clibbins in 13th. Adam Delmont in 14th. Rounding out your top 15 is Luke Cooper. 16th is Kip Stevens. 17th is Michael Seal. 18th, Paul Cook. 19th, Tom Griffith. And your race 2 winner and race 1 second place will be Jason Cooper. He starts in 20th. 21st, Jamie Gulliford and Adam Fox in 22nd. But I can't read the rest of the grid because we're about to go into the third race of the evening. And instantly, the lights go off. It's a good start by pole position man Chris Dixon. Looks like Julian Schroer is going to try and get up to the inside. Colin Sampson, but I think Colin has actually got a really good start as well. Oh, is Julian going to try and leave his nose where it's not entertained? He has, but it's mainly because the 2 drivers in front of them went off the fact that he inherits the race lead. There has been carnage here at race 3 at turn number 1 at Redgate here at Donington Park. Now, who is that we're actually following? Who is number 4, isn't it? That's Andy McEwen. Made up 8 positions on that first corner to get up to 3rd place on the grid. 4th is Adam Delmont. He's got up 10 positions. Michael Seal is in 6th. He's made up 11 positions. Loads of dramas. Jason Cooper goes off the outside at Hold Hall Hairpin. I tell you what, Reese, you said you blink and you miss it in race 1. Well, I don't know how quick you'd have to blink to try and catch all the action here in race 3, but it's absolute carnage as another driver falls off the road around this Donington circuit. And who is that? It's number 53.
I think it might be Glenn Humberstone.
Oh, yeah, you're not wrong. It is Glenn Humberstone, isn't it?
It is indeed. But yeah, Julian Schroer leading the way. He's got Andy McEwen after him in 2nd. Then you got our second place starter, Colin Sampson, in third. Yeah, what a start from McEwen and also from Delmont as well. Say yes, it's all to play for now. Quite a good lead there for Schreier as well. He's got a great lead at the end of lap one, almost a full second over at McEwen. But yeah, just lap one, absolute carnage. Cars going off on the outside of Redgrave Corner. We probably lost 4 or 5 cars going around, but I think everyone's got back going. I don't think anyone's in the pits, so could have been worse. Although again, it's jumbled the field up even more now, Jack. So it'll be interesting to see how this race pans out over the next 13 or so minutes.
We're actually in that interesting situation where we bring up the different splits of the pros, the AMs and the pro-AMs, and we actually, on the pros, we don't see a pro leading. It's, of course, Julian Schreier, a pro-AM, leading the overall race for the time being, as there's still more movement towards the back of that little pack, and actually, outside the top 3, Nick Clibbins and Colin Sampson really getting at each other now, aren't they? Colin Sampson, of course, a full amateur driver, the 67, properly in his position, probably doesn't think he really has the pace to hold on to these other pros, and that's maybe why he's pulling over to the side. Recent, arguably a wise decision.
Just let them go. In a way, he's not racing these guys, but he's got to be careful. He can't let too much time go because he's now only got 4 cars between him and Adam Fox in the AM category, so he can't let too many of them go. Also, in Pro-Am, you've got Schreier, who's in second place. He's just lost out the lead to Andy McEwen. He'll be hoping to get away. Then you've got the Pro-Am leaders from race 1 and 2, Donald and Gulliford, all the way back in P10 11. So Schreier must be thinking he must be able to get in and secure himself a class victory in race 3 here. But yeah, you can just see, Jamie Gulliford's actually falling down the order with Craig McDonald. So commentator's curse there indeed. He's just about getting back going now, but that's dropped him right to the back. And that's got to give Julian Schreier a home run at the win for race 3, in the Pro-Am class. But still 11 minutes to go, so it ain't over till it's over.
No, it's but a vital position and potentially a vital race, just for momentum more than anything, to have in Julian Schreier's perspective. Just trying to figure out actually who we've got. It's Chris Warner. This is the 14th position now. Who's that going extremely slowly and has just gone behind Chris? It is Kip Stevens. Yeah, I thought so. I'm still getting used to his new livery, but Stevens going very slowly as Jason Cooper tries to manage his way through Chris Warner. Now, there wasn't any room that particular time round as Michael Seal sets the fastest lap of the race. Entirely surprising as we haven't had that many actual laps of racing here just yet, but Michael Seal with a 1:16.9, very quick indeed. Colin Sampson is within shooting range, I would say, of Alistair Fox, so we will keep an eye out on that as we still focus on this battle with Jason Cooper. Now, going a little bit forward, this is Adam Fox, the current second place AM driver, currently leading potentially leading the championship actually in AM category, because I believe he's had he had race win in race number 1 in the AM category, and I think he came 3rd in race number 2. Do correct me if I'm wrong on that, Reese, but I haven't written it down, unfortunately. But he is, look at that, Samson right ahead of him now. A big opportunity to take another race victory.
Both teammates as well, both in year 1 colours, so it'll be interesting to see in the any theme levers which one will come out on top. But I'm sure all's fair in love, war and teammate battles. But yeah, Adam Delmont's actually now got past Julian Schreier for P2. He's 1.1 seconds behind Andy McEwen, which is just out the draft range potentially in these Mazdas. So we could see... Oh, Julian's dropped down the order. Oh, I've got to stop mentioning people by name because they seem to be falling off the road every time I do. But yeah, oh, he's come back in. He's having some connection difficulties, I can see. But yeah, Adam Delmont, almost a full second behind Andy McEwen, so it'll be interesting to see if he can catch him. Still plenty of racing left to run.
Absolutely. So Andy McEwen will be doing his trying his hardest to pull away somewhat. But Adam Delmont, we've seen, he has got real pace underneath this MX5, hasn't he? We saw it in race 1. We saw it in race 2. He hasn't been able to... well, in fact, actually, he won race 1, didn't he? That's why we know he's got an extreme amount of pace in there. We never really saw Andy to be able to really stretch his legs at the front of the field because he sort of got caught in 4th position and then never really caught up to the people in front, never really dropped the people behind. So you would probably argue the favourite is Adam Delmont going through Coppice now and going onto the back straight. The top two, though, Reese, have really pulled away, haven't they? There's probably not much of a threat from Julian Schreur just yet. And being a Pro-Am driver, they're probably thinking, well, actually, the threat is from the driver behind him in Luke Cooper and Tom Griffiths.
Indeed, but I'm sure Andy McEwen will disagree with you when he says Adam Delmont's favourite, and he's going to put up a fight for the win. We already saw him fighting for the podium positions in race 1, especially with Adam Delmont. He's already put a fight up once with him, and I'm sure they'll both remember the outcome of that one. But yeah, we've still got Schuret leading in the Pro category, and Fox has now passed Sanson for the lead in the AM category as well. So it's all changing through the field almost as quickly as we can talk about it. And as I say, quickly as we can talk about it, I can see on the timing screens there on the nice timing tower, Delmont has actually now passed McEwen for the lead of the race, and he's got a second gap. So I don't know if Andy McEwen has made a mistake, but that's quite a big gap there. And can anybody catch Adam Delmont from second back with the space he's shown? Maybe not. I'm not sure what's happened to Andy McEwen there, but he's now got the whole top 10 and are stacked up behind him. I hope he's got a wide body kit on that MX5 because he might have to use it to Robert Chicane right now. Yeah, Adam Delmont leaping away. And yeah, whatever blighted Andy McEwen, he's managed to get his speed back up. But I say they're too wide right across onto the white line. No quarter given here in the MX5s all the way through the field. It's Tom Griffiths moving up the inside of Luke Cooper into P4. And Michael Steele's thinking, I'll have some of that as they touch on the run into Hollywood. And I think Michael Steele's going to have 2 for the price of 1 there and make his way all the way up into P4. So from P6 to P4 for Michael Steele there in turn 1 and 2. Yeah, as I say, not sure where to look here in the MX5s at the moment because there's just so much action up and down the field.
Gotta love an optimist, and that's exactly what Michael Steele, was there, wasn't he? Just taking advantage of some other drivers, but he read that situation. That's what's impressive about it. He expected it. He sort of knew what might happen, and he thought, you know what? If there's an opportunity here, a cutback is the correct option. He did it, and he got his reward. So really good driving by Michael Steele there. The impression I got, we didn't see it, but the impression I got potentially about when the move happened was Adam Delmont lunging up the inside of old hairpin on Andy McEwen, and that ran maybe Andy a little bit wide, or maybe he just went wide anyway. That's sort of the impression I got, because that would have ruined his run all the way up towards McLean's and slowed him right down, almost as much to drop him back into the grips of potentially Julian Schreur. But it hasn't happened just yet, but Adam Delmont is in the lead of this race. That's all that really matters, even if we don't know why. Tom Griffiths and Michael Steele trying to chase down Julian Schreur, who has been given a bit of a let-off here, one would argue, with the fact that Michael Steele and Tom Griffiths keep arguing with each other. Reece, it's just allowed Julian to get in a bit of no man's land. 5 laps to go. He's probably absolutely kicking his heels, isn't he? He's probably loving life right now. Yeah, okay, he might not be able to go for a race win, but as a Pro-Am going for 3rd place, as the 2 behind you continue to squabble, Michael Steele up the inside of Tom Griffiths into McLean's. They're still too wide. Tom Griffiths goes a little bit wide. They're going to give it a go through Coppice. It's very difficult to do anything through that. But Julian Schreur probably is loving life right now.
Oh, he's doing such a great job there. As we mentioned, he's a Pro-Am driver, but he's mixing it with the big guns at the front of the field. And it actually looks like, because we talk about big guns, it actually looks like McEwen's closed in ever so slightly on Delmont, I can see just there. So the fight for the lead is not over yet. Andy McEwen, he's used that draft, he's used that slipstream. It's gaining. He might even be having a look here into Redgate Corner. Who can break latest at the 2 of them? McEwen thinks better of it for now, but he'll be sizing him up all the way down the crane of curves. Delmont makes a mistake, and there we go. McEwen straight on through. So swap for the lead there. He just took a little bit too much of that inside curb, bounced his Mazda up onto 2 wheels, and there we are. Andy McEwen back to the lead for U1 Racing, but he's got Adam Delmont from Excite right behind him, and I'm sure he won't shake him too easy. They've already fought once for the lead. That's Julian Schreur getting out to straight there in the background as well. But yeah, what action I'm going to have? You know who's in the top 5 now, but with 4 laps to go. Will they still be there at the end of the race? Based on the first 2 races tonight, I think probably not.
Gonna say it's all up in the air now. On the YouTube chat, you guys have been brilliant. Liam Silkstone has given me a little bit more of inside information, which is the fact that Andy McEwen actually had a slow down penalty, probably for cutting the corner at Old Hairpin. So I may have been right with Old Hairpin, just maybe the wrong actual reason. So now you would probably argue with 4 laps to go, I'm not going to say who is favourite, but what I will say is that Andy, I know full well, one of his favourite things to do when racing, one of the most satisfying things he finds, is when you throw a psychological race move up there. He looked to the inside of Delmont and he made him just take a little bit too much speed through the final corner, and that just meant that Delmont had to touch the brakes on the exit of turn 1. However, this time Delmont has got his exit speed absolutely bang on, and he's managed to get up the inside through Craner Curves. The important bit is the inside for Old Hairpin. That is Andy McEwen's for the time being. Is there going to be a cutback? No, both of them work really well to stay within track limits. This may be an MSV circuit, but thank God we don't have the MSV track limit stringencies here. It means we can actually let these drivers race a little bit more, and if they go off the circuit, it means they slow down themselves. They don't have to be told off afterwards as well. Adam Delmont looking to the inside of McEwen, but again, almost trying to throw what McEwen did to him earlier on in a little bit of a psychological race move, just to put the year 1 driver off. Not happening for the time being, but Reese, this is about as close as we've seen so far in any of the races this evening for a race lead battle. And as they go down towards the final hairpin, McEwen having to go defensive. He launches himself over the curb, almost taking off higher than the East Midland Airport's airplanes. And he hits the brakes. He's got another slowdown. That's allowed Delmont to get through, and it may be a little bit of a closing of the curtains, because I think Julian Schreur is going to get through, and potentially even his teammate Michael Seal.
Oh, I think the teammates are actually touched there as McEwen does a switch back on Schreur. Schreur again holding his ground, and he's actually might drop out of the podium positions now because Seals up his inside. And all this is just letting Delmont slowly start to stretch his legs. But that gap's still only half a second. That slipstream effect is still going to be really strong there. So if Andy can get back into his rhythm, they're all seasoned competitors here. If he can get back into his rhythm, this race still isn't over yet with 2 to go. So white flag this time by, and he's got a pair of year 1 guys hunting him down here as we approach the final lap. But then you've got in P4, so you've got Tom Griffiths as well, who won't be letting them get too far out the way. So we've got a grandstand finish set up. Yeah, Julian Schreur, he's dropped back to P6, but he'll still be happy. He's still got that Pro-Am win quite comfortably in the bag.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He does actually, doesn't he? He's done really well. And he's actually mixed it really well with the pros. And that's why I quite like the Pro-Am setup. Because, you know, they're too quick to be considered, obviously, fully AMs, but maybe not confident enough to go into the proper pro category. As the final lap, the white flag gets waved. The 2 year 1 drivers trying to work together. But actually, in the further back is the number 13 of Nick Libbins, trying to get nicely up the inside of the Julian Schreur. Julian, as you said, probably doesn't really have to work too hard for this one. He's having to look a little further back, 5.79. Douglas Stewart is all the way down in 16th position before he's actually going to lose this class victory. But still, he's probably slightly disappointed if he falls outside the top 10 or even behind this train, because he did fantastically well in 3rd place. And look at the battle for the race lead, actually, because although we're seeing the 966, I believe that is our amateur race leader, Fox, we need to see the overall race leader. There we go, on our screens, because McEwen trying to go around the outside of Adam Delmont. He's managed to hold it onto the circuit for the time being. Helps that the track isn't wet, because otherwise he would have been well into the gravel, I'm sure. But Michael Seal is interested in making it 3 wide. What can Adam Delmont do going into the final chicane for the final time? He's braking late, but McEwen gets the apex. Michael Seal on the left-hand side. It's going to be a drag race, maybe even a 3-wide drag race, as Andy McEwen will take the checkered flag to take the victory. But coming across the line, it's just too close to call almost. I think it was Adam Delmont, and I think it was Michael Seal rounding out the top 3, with Tom Griffiths just about settling for 4th place. Luke Cooper in the top 5 with Nick Clibbins, Paul Cook, Julian Schreur ended up in 8th. And I tell you what, if you thought you'd lost your breath and lost your voice before, Reese, well, it's nothing compared to that race that we've just seen.
What a finish. As Ben Sharp's just put in the YouTube chat, actually took the words out of my mouth there with that one. But what a finish there. I said, you know, anything can happen in MX5s right up until the last lap. And it did indeed, you know, right down, you know, going around the outside of Coppice by Andy McEwen. What a brave move that was. Absolutely fair play for Adam Delmont, leaving in the room, racing him clean. And then that 3 wide drag race across the line for P2. Absolutely, this is what BSR is all about. We've missed bringing it to your screens, but yeah, what a fantastic end. And we've got the replay up just here as well, so we can see it. Was Seal even bump drafting McEwen down into the chicane just there at the end? They all bounced across the curbs. Yeah, Adam Delmont just holding on. But yeah, 2, 3 wide. Tom Griffiths getting involved just there. Fantastic racing by all of them.
Tell you what, you're absolutely right with Michael Seal. I didn't even notice when we were live that he was giving that bump draft to his team. It made all the difference, and I'm sure Andy will probably remind me or probably message me saying that he actually managed to pull that move off that I never did in real life. I will remind him that he had a teammate pushing him through. It's been a brilliant race all round, and it had twists and turns and drama left, right, and centre. And I tell you what, Reese, and that's why we love racing, isn't it? That's why you get hooked on racing. And in real life racing, you do see those, but there's always a little bit of tension, isn't there? Because you know that it can all go quite horribly wrong, and you don't want to see anybody having to pay a big bill or potentially ending up in hospital or something, obviously a lot worse like that. But in the sim world, you can indulge that little bit of risk, can't you? You can indulge that little bit of, risk, basically, because you know that you can just press the reset button and you'll have a brand new car with no cost. And that often offers up some really exciting finishes.
And as I say, that was absolutely fantastic. Everybody was leaning on each other with complete respect. But yeah, as I say, a real topsy-turvy result compared to what we'd seen in race 1 and 2. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here in race 4. I actually think we've got the results all lined up if you'd like to take us through them, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, the podium is coming up first. Now, hopefully, we'll have these mug shots one day. But at the top of the step is obviously Andy McEwen. Second place, having to settle for second. But it was confirmed second. Very nearly a lot worse. Adam Delmont. And then in third place, just holding off Tom Griffiths, almost pipping Adam Delmont, was Michael Seal. And one of the closest battles and closest sort of finishes we've had all season. Not saying a lot, it's only the third race of the season, but you get what I mean. Andy McEwen then taking it from 0.6 of a second, and that's how close it was between second and third. Just 200 even. Absolutely ridiculous, really, with Tom Griffiths in fourth. Luke Cooper in fifth with Nick Clibbins in sixth. Seventh is Paul Cook. Eighth is Julian Schroer in the end, but taking the Pro-Am victory. Ninth is James Neve. 10th was Jason Cooper. Good drive from 20th place, to be fair, for Jason Cooper. Actually went under the radar there, but I'm sure he won't mind us focusing on somebody else for at least one race. Adam Fox ended up taking the AM victory, I believe, in 11th. Adam McNally is in 12th. Sam Smith, 13th. Colin Sampson, Sam, even. I always say the N and the M the wrong way around. In 14th. 15th was Kip Stevens. 16th was Douglas Stewart. 17th, Jamie Gulliford. 18th, Alistair Hatcher, with 19th being Luke Pullen. Liam Stimpson was 20th on a lap down. 21st, Chris Warner, and 2 laps down. 22nd was Craig Schill, 4 laps down. 23rd was Chris Dixon, 8 laps down. 24th was Craig McDonald, 10 laps down. And Glenn Humberstone was 25th and last, 11 laps down, unfortunately. The reverse grid will be 15, so I'm just wondering whether we can go back to that previous graphic and see who was 15th, because there we go. Kip Stevens will be on pole position for race number 4 and the final race of the evening. And I tell you what, tonight has gone by very, very quickly, Reese.
As I say, it's blink and you miss it in the races. It's just blink and you miss it all night. But yeah, Stevens lined up on pole for race 4. And Sansom actually started in P2 for race 4, exactly where he started for race 3 as well. So a nice bit of imagery just there. But yeah, Andy McEwen starting all the way back in P15. Probably the person rubbing the hands together the most before that is Jason Cooper starting P5. He's got to thinking he can probably kick on for his second win of the night maybe from there. But I'm sure Adam McNally with all of his rough luck throughout the races so far. But no, starting P4, he'll be hopeful of getting at least on the podium, if not, say, fighting for the win.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching so far the first 3 races. I hope that one has really whetted your appetite for race number 4. That'll be coming up in a couple of minutes' time, just after this short break. Welcome back. I hope you've recharged somewhat since that race 3. I'm not entirely sure I have. But Reese, have you managed to catch your breath?
No, I'm just riding a big adrenaline wave from the finish, to be fair. Cast my mind back to the 3 wide finish. I'm sure the chaps aren't going to let us down, and it's going to be the 4th race in a row where we've had action from flag to flag. It's going very, very well so far. It'll be interesting. There's a few great stories emerging. We've got, I think we've had 3 separate winners now in the pro class. So will anybody be able to double up, or will we get a perfect 4 from 4? Obviously, McEwen, Griffiths, and Cooper so far. So we'll see if anyone else can get names into the mix. Obviously, with Kip Stevens starting on pole, he's got to be a contender, surely.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't get any slowdowns like we've seen him. I think it was race 2. We didn't see him at all for race 3, I believe, unless the slowdown was in race 3. They all blend into one a little bit, don't they?
I think he might have had a slowdown in both, to be fair. I think he had one in 2 and 3.
That might be why I'm getting confused, to be fair. Yeah, I mean, there's so much always going on, isn't there, in these MX5 races? They always do seem to blend into one a little bit. But, yeah, hopefully, we've only got a couple of minutes, maybe 2.5 minutes to be able to get into qualifying. So if you are sitting there and you're wondering when qualifying is, you've probably got 2 minutes. So if you really need the toilet, or if you need to go get a cup of tea and you, for some reason, didn't during that holding screen, now is your opportunity as well. I'm going to have a very quick look down the YouTube chat as well. And like you mentioned there, Reese, plenty of people sort of praising what an exciting finish that was. It's not just us who's getting overexcited about it either. Everybody at home seems to be enjoying it too.
Oh, definitely, I can see, yeah, Ben Sharp in chat, Ennio Fungus as well. They both absolutely loved that finish to race 2. And it was fantastic sportsmanship by, all 4 drivers that were involved in it, to be fair, from the move around the outside of Coppice, the bold one from McEwen that he says never works, but apparently it did for him that time. Or as I say, the bump drafting down the backstretch from Seal, some great teamwork from the guys there, but then leaping over the curbs through the chicane. There was minimal contact, if there was any at all, maybe a bit of leaning on doors, but no, great racing and great skill from all the drivers involved in that final lap skirmish.
It's a sort of race, isn't it, where you just come off it and you must have a massive smile on your face. I mean, you must have been involved in fights just like that over your time in sim racing, Reese, and it is why you keep coming back to the sim, isn't it? That, and you've probably spent enough money on it that you don't want it to go to waste, which is quite often why I race, because it always goes wrong, and then you think, oh, but I spent the money on it, I need to go and do it and enjoy it. But when you actually get a race like that, it makes it all worthwhile.
Oh, definitely. I think if I had a finish like that across the line, like we had between Seal and Delmont, then I'd be going for a lie down in a dark room between races, I think. But no, what a fantastic finish it was. And yeah, you spend the money on iRacing for sure, but it's still cheaper than real life racing, as I'm sure you'll attest to, Jack.
Oh yeah, especially if you do real life racing like I did. Oh goodness me, it's iRacing is a bargain bucket compared to the stuff that I ended up doing. But realistically, iRacing is a great service, isn't it? There's a reason why it's so popular. Without plugging this isn't sponsored by iRacing, so we don't have to be careful about this. But do you actually race in any other sort of sim hardware, Reese, or is iRacing pretty much where you exclusively go to?
I'm the biggest of iRacing fanboys, and they don't even pay me to say that. I race exclusively on iRacing. Oh, as I think we're just heading to the grid just now for the final race of the evening. I can just see the practice sessions ended, and we'll be seeing the guys hitting the start-finish straight just now.
You are not wrong, and I can see Kip Stevens is in pole position with the top 15 reverse grid, remember? Colin Sansom is in second, alongside him with Sam Smith and Adam McNally finishing out the top 2 rows. Adam Fox is in 5th with Jason Cooper in 6th. 7th is James Neve. 8th is Julian Schroer, with 9th being Paul Cook. Rounding out the top 10 is Nick Clibbins. 11th is Luke Cooper. 12th, Tom Griffiths. 13th, Michael Seal. 14th, Adam Delmont. And 15th, our race 3 winner of the evening, Andy McEwen. 16th is Douglas Stewart. 17th is Jamie Gulliford. 18th is Alistair Hatcho, and 19th being Luke Pullen. 20th is Liam Stimson. 21st is Chris Warner. 22nd, Craig Schill. 23rd, Chris Dixon. 24th, Craig McDonald. 25th Glen Humberstone, and we got one more for race 4 of the evening than we did in race 3. I think Liam Silkstone has joined in to have another bash at it. I believe he wasn't in race 3 because he was commenting in the YouTube chat. Right, here we go. For the final time this evening, Kip Stevens on pole position. And what can he better? What does he have up his sleeve? He has a good start up his sleeve, that's for sure. And he's under no real threat going into turn number 1. Although it would help if the number 55 of Kip Stevens was actually in existence. And he lagged out there, probably the least best time you can possibly lag out. And that's when everybody else is following you into turn 1. Apart from Kip and Sam Smith, everybody else is queuing up to try and get into 3rd position. Adam McNally is in 3rd with Adam Fox in 4th. Jason Cooper currently in 5th. But the number 67 of Paul Cook. No, that's not the number 67. It's Colin Sansom is the number 67. But Paul Cook goes off with him going into Old Hall Hairpin. Sorry, it's not Old Hall Hairpin. I've called it that all night. It's just Old Hairpin. I do apologise about that. Great commentating here. But it is Kip Stevens who leads the way as the top 4 start to build a little train.
Yes, hopefully they can break away. I think those other two, there's a car off in McLean's as well. Not sure who that is back there. Yeah, you've got Kip Stevens leading the way, Sansom, Smith and McNally all following in there as well. From what I can see, let me just refresh my time screen. Sansom isn't in P22. He was one of the cars after that. Smith, McNally and Cooper, top 4. Can Smith hold off McNally and Cooper, especially Cooper already won a race this evening, will be strong on confidence. But yeah, what an exciting opening lap we've had. Julian Schroer in P9, P10 now. I think Nick Clibbons actually took the lead for the Pro-Ams. You've got Adam Fox in P5 for Am. Icing with Jason Cooper actually into turn 1. So yeah, very, very enjoyable just now for us.
Julian Schroer has somehow spawned back to the pit lane after tumbling down the order. I'm not sure if he had to go into the pits or not. Maybe a false start. Not from what I saw, but bit of a shame for him. One of the stars in race number 3, really, for a large part of that race. Number 27 of Sam Smith is putting Kip Stevens under an enormous amount of pressure here. Adam McNally is probably very interested in trying to take some kind of advantage and maybe a falling out between the top 2. Jason Cooper as well, obviously, race 1 winner, and a whole host of drivers behind. James Neve goes off the circuit and wide, unfortunately. James Neve now falling down into 11th place, trying to find a safe place to be able to rejoin the circuit. Ironically, he probably could have done that actually a little bit safer by joining a little bit earlier, but I suppose he wanted to play it safe. We can't blame him for that. We didn't want to take anybody else out, but now he is behind. That's Liam Stimson going very slowly. Must be a slowdown. As he is behind, just trying to look at it, Chris Warner and Douglas Stewart, I believe. So not ideal for James Neve. Looks Liam Silkstone there, as I said, I think rejoining after sitting out of race 3. Well, slow down on the opening lap or 2 is not really where you want to start your final race of the evening, is it, Reese? You really don't want to have to put up with that and let everybody else go.
No, and you just lose so much time, especially early in a race, and track position is so important because, as we know, and we can see cars going almost 3 wide down the Craner curves. As you fight, you lose time to the cars in front, and with these low-powered MX5s, it's quite difficult to gain that back at any point. So losing for a slowdown. We've got a car off spinning away to the inside of the old hairpin. That's Alistair Hatcher, the Am. He's gone round. He'll get back going. He's not hit anything solid, so but he's all the way at the back of the field now, dropped back into P23. But we've still got Sam Smith leading. We've got Adam McNally in P2 in the Excite car once the paint scheme was loaded on up. And we've also got Jason Cooper in P3 as well. Looks like Cooper might have a look into the Robert Chicane. Not quite close enough. Smith's got a car length, lead of only a car length or 2. Oh, look at the curb Jason Cooper takes through there as well, leaping through the air. But no, we've got a fantastic, about 7 or 8 car breakaway here, kind of 2 batches of 4. Jason Cooper having to defend against Nick Clibbons, could have taken too much curb through the final corner, but he should just about hold off there. And Sam Smith holding strong through Redgate. But yeah, dicing through Hollywood now, Clibbons and Cooper. What great racing we're having though. As I say, runs being given, momentum changing from corner to corner almost. Oh, he almost touches the back of him. What a great shot from the nose of Nick Clibbons here. You can see just how close and just how talented all of these drivers here in the MX5 field. And it's got McEwen and Stevens, which we can't see just out of shot, right behind him as well. But yeah, almost getting in the passenger seat of the Mazda in front. He has a little look up into Coppice, not quite got the run. What a fantastic view we've got from the nose. You can just see that momentum ebbing and flowing between all of the cars here. Just under 10 minutes to go. Over you two, Jack.
Yeah, no, Nick Clibbins has done a brilliant job at reining them in as well. And actually, to be fair, you did a brilliant job of calling all of that at Reese. It makes my life... I was actually just sitting here enjoying the drama and enjoying the action. Sam Smith leading the way, but look at this. It's turned into not only a 4-car battle, it's slowly turning into an almost 10-car battle, isn't it? Andy McEwen sets the fastest lap of the race, 1:16.9. Anything in the 1:16s, it seems, tonight is pretty good going with these updated MX5 cars, of course. Sam Smith, though, what can you do? What's the theory here? Because you have Jason Cooper. He's probably, arguably, out the top 4 if you said who's going to win a race between those top 4. Given tonight, Jason Cooper would probably be your favourite. However, all the way down in 3rd at the moment, and if he starts fighting with McNally, all of a sudden Sam Smith got to get a few seconds, and he might pull away. They might even he might even drop the rest of the field and not allow them to get into their draft. So it's all a bit of a mind game now. They're almost trying to suss each other out, see what they can take advantage of, see where maybe they're quicker and how they can make the overtake with conceding the least amount of time possible to their other opponents. Because if you look, to me, Reese, McNally's body language in that car, or the car's body language, I should say, doesn't scream to me that he's actually really trying to get past and into the race lead. He's more trying to stay there for the time being and to pull away from the drivers behind.
Yeah, he was shoving Smith down the backstretch there. And yeah, Smith's weaving around down the front straight, trying to break that toe. Cooper's trying to go around the outside. Oh, Cooper and McNally have come together in Redgate. And I think Cooper would have made that to the wall as well, unfortunately. What a shame. So that elevates Clibbins up to P2, McEwen in P3. But yeah, they just come together on the exit. I don't know if we can grab a replay or not of that, but oh, what drama. And Gulliford sets the fastest lap of the race in the Pro-Am category. And here we are. Here's that replay just now.
Yeah, it's one of those rare situations where you don't want to be raving from the window to into the wall, does he? But unfortunately, I think McNally probably did end up kissing his window into the wall there. Oh no, just about shy, I think, in the gravel, doing its job. Very unrealistically being able to pull away and out the gravel, but Adam McNally probably won't care too much about that because he'll just be annoyed that he's all the way down in 19th place. It really hasn't gone very well today for Adam McNally, it has to be said. We've seen him pretty much only have bad luck. But the upshot of that is that Sam Smith still leads. Nick Clibbins is now 2nd place. Andy McEwen is into the top 3. Michael Seal, his teammate, is 4th, with Adam Delmont in top 5 yet again. Delmont scoring very, very consistently today, it has to be said, Reese, isn't he? He's doing a brilliant job as we're watching the number 13 here of Nick Clibbins. This is the battle for 2nd position. Clibbins on the outside. That means Andy McEwen on the inside. Apologies for the paint not potentially loading. They are just being a little bit too slow, and I'll blame trading paint for that one. Clibbins stays into 2nd place. Sam Smith is pulling away.
Yes, as McEwen's trying to squeeze and by Clibbins, it's letting Sam Smith slowly start to scamper out the road. The gap's now up to about 0.8 of a second as they come into McLean's. Clibbins staying ahead of McEwen. He's got the 2 Year 1 cars of McEwen and Seal just behind him. Even though we've not got the trading paints, you've got the bright Grello wheels, which always sets them apart just there. You've got Delmont and Griffiths, 2 of the podium members from race 1, sat in 5th and 6th, chasing down. And Jason Cooper, despite the incident, is still in 7th place. So never write Jason Cooper off. I think might be the lesson from Donington Park this evening. Because yeah, he's still there in 7th place, still scoring some great points just there. And a shout out as well to Jamie Gulliford, leading Pro-Am in P9, and then you've also got Adam Fox leading the AM category for I think the 3rd time tonight in P11.
Yeah, well, I thought I just heard a crunching noise, and that may be something to do with Tom Griffiths going off there. And to be honest, that looks, when we cut to him, it looks a bit of an odd crash. Is it something that's happened a little bit earlier on? Tom Griffiths here in the Oh, yeah, that's... Yeah, no, it's no kind of contact. Well, there was contact, but that wasn't the reason for it. The reason for it was a blown engine by the sounds of it. Now, Reese, you're an iRacing expert. And when I say expert, you know a lot more than me anyway. It's shifting down the gears, isn't it? These MX5s don't have any gear protector. You do it too quickly, the revs are too high, it will blow up.
Indeed, yeah, no, it's just been too aggressive, and it's probably built up. It probably wasn't being too aggressive once. It's probably been too aggressive a few times. The oil temperature, the oil pressure builds, and yeah, he's blown his motor, unfortunately, which is a real shame because he's been doing some really consistent racing. The only solace, I suppose, for Tom Griffiths is expect to blow his engine tonight at Donington Park, and it would have been Saturday afternoon at Brands Hatch. As we've talked about, the repair bills a lot cheaper here. Whilst we've been talking about that, though, Andy McEwen's made it up to P2 ahead of Clibbons. Can he now catch Sam Smith for the lead of the race? Potentially double up. He's just run wide. He's got two wheels in the grass coming out of Redgate. But we've got a real fight for the lead now, Jack.
Yeah, he's not hanging about, is he? He's throwing everything at it to try and catch up to the back of Sam Smith, who has led this race very, very well, it's worth noting. He's... I don't think anybody would question it if he did win this race. He put a lot of defence and absorbed a lot of pressure earlier on, and is now, putting in good lap times. 1:17.5, so 1:17.4 was his previous lap time. The drivers around him, Andy McEwen, 1:17.3, Nick Clibbins, 1:18. So Sam Smith certainly not out of position here. The problem is that he might have is that the rest of the cars have the slipstream behind them. We've mentioned it one or two times, haven't we, so far this evening? But these MX5s, they do love a good slipstream.
No, they love a good toe. You can see they're moving around down the back straight. Smith's trying to break that toe. McEwen's trying to stay in it. I will say, as they cross the line for 3 laps to go, McEwen getting very sideways out the final corner. Smith has soaked up every bit of pressure. Pretty much the entire field has thrown at him so far in this race 4. And he's not looked like breaking a sweat yet. Everything anyone's thrown at him, he's had an answer for. As we can see, 2 wide there. Is that Jason Cooper and Michael Seal going through turn 1? You've got Seal on the outside, Cooper on the inside through Hollywood. Who's going to have the inside? And there we are. Cooper gets ahead before we get to the old hairpin. And in fact, it looks like Adam Delmont's going to make a move there as well. So yeah,
I have to say,
wide.
I was just about to say, with only 3 laps to go, I've been slightly surprised, really, with the cleanliness of racing. I'm saying it with clinched teeth because I realise that 3 laps is quite a long time, and it could all go Pete Tong here for us. So touch wood, they've been fairly well behaved. Normally, the 4th race of the evening, everything gets a little bit chaotic, Reese. I don't know if you've had much experience in the BSR MX5 Championship before, but whenever I've been covering it has got a little bit out of hand, potentially, in the 4th race, because everybody's desperate to try and get that victory. We're currently looking at the fight for 5th, but actually there's been a change for the race lead. Andy McEwen has got in ahead of Sam Smith and is going to go... This is defensive, by the way. He's already made the move. McEwen leads the way on the timing board, and look at the amount of speed that Sam Smith tries to put through the apex of Redgate. McEwen just parking the car on the inside, meaning that Smith had no way to get that cutback. That's a bit of a racecraft experience, really, that he's learned from doing the BSR MX5 Championship. It's a bit of a baptism of fire style championship. You do learn very quickly, otherwise you pretty much sink. You have to be able to learn quickly, learn racecraft on the job, and then you may get an opportunity to swim at the front. But Sam Smith, I don't think anybody could really argue that he deserves a podium position. He's driven very well today, Reese.
He has indeed, and we're talking about it past tense, but there's still 2 laps to go, and he's still right there in Andy McEwen's toe. And I'm sure he must be thinking, well, that's great. I've now got a lap and a half with all of that slipstream to fight back at him. You've got Clibbins behind as well, and this race is far, far from over. As we dart through the rubber chicane, you can see from that gyro cam how much curve they take, and you might just about be able to see just from the stand just there. White flag waves, white flag fever is in the air. As Sam Smith looks to the outside, McEwen defends well. Not quite close enough, but he'll try that over-under once again that he almost got working before. McEwen shuts that down though, and here we are. This is it. Time for a grandstand finish again. chaps aren't going to let us down. I know that for sure.
McEwen leads then by Sam Smith and then Nick Clibbins, Michael Seal and Jason Cooper are your top 5. There is the 6th car there as Adam Delmont is right in the back of the train. McEwen gets a little bit wide, but apart from that, they are line and stern. Going up towards McLean's, there's only half a lap to go. Who's going to throw the moves? Because you know there are going to be moves to be thrown. Up the inside, there goes one. There goes the contact as well. That's the 57 of Michael Seal trying to get the inside of Clibbins. That means they're going to go 3 wide for 3rd place potentially, as Smith is waiting. He's biding his time to go down towards the final chicane, and he knows what's going to happen. Is he going to move to the right-hand side early to try and defend it? He's slightly over towards the, I would say the normal racing line, actually. He's probably fairly confident. No, there we go. Straight to the inside, straight to the middle of the circuit. Makes Smith go the long way round. Has Smith taken too much momentum? Yes, he has. Has he thrown away a podium? Potentially as well. McEwen is going to make it a double here at Donington Park. Nick Clibbins comes across the line to take 2nd place with Michael Seal ending up on the podium. So that means Sam Smith, who finished in 5th in the end, did throw away a podium position because Jason Cooper got up to the inside for 4th place as well. Adam Delmont was the only driver in that top 6 battle that didn't take advantage of Sam Smith going for gold and accepting nothing less. But Reese, yet again, that half a lap that we saw was so intense and really summarised everything we love with BSR MX5 racing.
It's been fantastic entertainment all the evening. My favourite part of that final lap was actually our producer in our ears giving an excited ooh as the cars almost went 3 wide into McLean's. We're all say on the edge of our seats here, not just commentating. I'm sure the drivers were as well, and hopefully you guys as fans watching as well really enjoyed watching it as that all unfolded.
Absolutely. So I hope you all enjoyed it as well. And we'll have a couple of minutes before we are able to get up the full results. But trust me, they're coming. But what a grandstand finish. What a night of racing. Hopefully you've enjoyed watching the new BSR series. The new season, obviously, coming to Year One TV. If you have, then please do like, follow and subscribe, because I'll probably forget to ask you a little later on. Reese, that's your first full day, first full evening, I should say, in the booth. How was it?
You know what? I think I'm going to hang my wheel up and take the job on full time, because I've enjoyed that every bit as much, if not more, than driving myself. It's been great watching all the action unfold throughout the field. And yeah, I can't wait.
It is slightly next week. It is slightly different pressure, isn't it? Really, it's. I feel personally, I'm much more comfortable here than I am actually driving the cars. I feel like I don't want to ruin anyone's race, but when you're just talking about it, you can not say what you want, but it's that sort of different pressure, isn't it? And it makes the racing quite enjoyable. You really do throw yourself into it, and hopefully everyone at home has thrown themselves into that as well.
Oh, it's been fantastic. I must say what you want, but you've got to be careful what you say, because the commentator's curse has struck 3 or 4 times tonight. So yeah, don't talk about a driver too many times, because that might be it for them. They might find themselves in the gravel. So.
Yeah, you're not wrong, absolutely. And unfortunately, I have given my fair share of commentators' curses, and I have received my fair share of messages about them afterwards, apparently, because people actually do like to remind you, oh, you said I was doing brilliantly, and then I threw it off, and I'm blaming you. Well, yeah, it probably was my fault, sorry. But it's been great fun here at the BSR. Fingers crossed, it'll be great fun on Thursday. Now, I'm not in the booth on Thursday. I believe it's Dan Blake who will be commentating on a Thursday, and I'm not sure if you're jumping in for the BSR TCR. Reese, I'm not. Are you on that day as well, or are you on just with me on a Tuesday?
I don't honestly know the answer to that question. I've made myself available for a Thursday. I might get a word in my ear, and it's, oh, I'm getting. Of course you are. So yes, no, I'm in on Thursday as well. That's great. Yeah, confirmation in my ear at least. That, yeah, so yeah, cancelled the Thursday night plans, because I'll be here doing TCRs as well. And I'm sure they won't disappoint. Obviously, slightly different cars, power going to the front wheels, not the rear, and a little bit quicker as well. So a different style of racing. But yeah, really looking forward to my second bite at the cherry when it comes to commentary.
You'll be fine. You'll be far more relaxed. And plus, Dan Blake is much nicer than me anyway. No, we're going to jump to the results and everything now. So to give you the final results of the evening for that 4th race. McEwen then coming out on top just about after Sam Smith threw everything at him and probably a little bit too much, really. Nick Clibbins came home in second place, 0.7 seconds behind the race leader. Michael Seal ended up taking home third, probably a result he didn't expect when he was going into that final lap. Jason Cooper was fourth. Sam Smith ended up in fifth, so still a good finish. Not the finish he was hoping for. Adam Delmont was in sixth with Kip Stevens in seventh. Paul Sitto, I believe, for that race. Chris Warner was in eighth. James Neve in ninth, with Luke Cooper rounding out the top 10. In 11th place was, I believe, our AM winner, Adam Fox. Jamie Gulliford was in 12th. What I believe was the Pro-Am winner, but I may well be wrong with that statement. Apologies if I am. Liam Stimpson in 13th, with 14th being Liam Silkstone. 15th was Craig Schill. 16th, Douglas Stewart. 17th, Adam McNally. 18th, Glenn Humberstone. Chris Dixon was 19th, with Colin Sansom in 20th place. Luke Pullen was in 21st, with Alistair Hatcher a lap down in 22nd. 23rd was Tom Griffiths, 5 laps down. 24th was Craig McDonald, 10 laps down. 25th was Julian Schroer in 11 laps down. And 26th was Paul Cook, also 11 laps down. Oh, apparently we're dragging in an interview, and it's a double race winner, I believe. So I don't know. I don't know if I have to unmute my Discord or anything like that. Oh, he's here apparently. Andy, are you with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
It's new technology, but we can hear you. You must be beaming from ear to ear after that evening.
I've had worse nights. That was yeah. I don't know what came over me. I was overtaking people. I didn't crash much. Yeah, that was quite a good night. I'll take that.
Double victor. At one point, it looked like it may be Jason Cooper who was going to take that crown for the evening. But in that final race, what was going through your mind when you were seeing Sam Smith flying up your outside going into that final corner?
Well, I won't repeat what I was saying exactly word for word, but it was words to the effect of, "What on earth are you doing, lad? You don't need to be doing that. Take the second place." That was, yeah, quite an aggressive move on the last lap. But in fairness, I'd been defending quite aggressively from him for the last couple of laps, so I guess he felt that he had to throw something at it. But honestly, the defining moment of that last race was when Jason tangled with someone at Redgate, because until then I was thinking, right, I'll sit behind Jason, I'll probably not be able to pass him, and then, seconds as good as it'll get. But as soon as he went off, it was game on.
I believe, speaking of Redgate, was it the third race where you jumped up, or it might have been the second, where you jumped up 8 positions on that first corner? What, from your perspective, what on earth happened in that first corner? Because you just seemed to get out of it, as well as a few other people behind you, just scot-free, and all of a sudden you were on a podium position.
I'd love to say it was my driving skill. It was not. I just happened to be on the inside, and when everyone crashed, they sort of almost self-cleaned the track and just swept off into the gravel on the outside, and we just kind of burst through on the inside. So, you need a bit of luck in racing, that. And yeah, again, once I'd gained all those places, it would have taken me the whole 15 minutes to gain that many places. So it was quite handy them all tangling at the first corner, and that really paved the way then for that race 3 victory. So yeah, quite a bit of luck. But I tell you what, I was really happy with my pace, and some of the moves I was making were yeah, some of the best I've done, I think. So I'll a bit of luck and a little bit, maybe 8% luck and 20% talent.
I was going to say, you need luck. You need a lot of skill as well, and I was quite envious here in the box, because we saw you go around the outside of McLean's and Coppice and make the move stick, which, as you know, is something I never managed to do. What came over you, as I said? Was it just the fact that you thought you could hang it around the outside and do what most others can't, or was it a case of you were sort of stuck there and damned if you do, damned if you don't?
It was actually planned, and I'm not even taking the mickey when I say that. That is my favourite move to pull at Donington, because these MX5s, they're not very powerful. So if you start going up the inside of people, unless you clear them by the apex, you just bog down on the inside. And it was a couple of seasons ago I realised that actually going around the outside at places like Redgate and McLean's and Coppice, you can keep the revs higher and keep the momentum going on the exit. So now I've said that, I'm sure everyone's going to try it, but you need a good car underneath you, and I've got a great setup given to me by a good friend of mine, Dave Chapman, a while ago, and it's served me well. It certainly works well when you try and make silly moves around the outside.
was going to say, giving away all your secrets now. Lastly, touching towards the TCR, you joining in for that one? Because I believe you won the last championship, didn't you?
Yeah, whether I can do that again this time, I don't know. I will be joining in. I'm missing the first week because I'm off to Germany to talk about real TCR cars on Thursday, so Thursday morning. So I won't be here for this week. But yeah, I'll be back, and we've got a good team of drivers at Year One Racing as well in that. So really looking forward to that. Actually, I think I actually enjoy driving the TCR car more than the MX5 at the moment. So
wow, never thought I'd hear you say that.
I know, front wheel drive, not normally my favourite thing, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'll be back there for sure.
Fantastic. Anybody you'd like to give a quick shout out to, Andy, before we let you go and enjoy a double victory?
I probably should say thank you to Graham Sesford, shouldn't I, at Year One, because yeah, he's done a great job with the broadcast, by the way, all of you. I've been watching it back a little bit tonight. It all looks really professional, so I don't know, it's only going to get better. So huge thanks to him for the broadcast side of things, but also for putting the team together, helping us all out. I know he's not been well recently either, so yeah, thanks, Graham. Appreciate it.
Brilliant. I'm sure he'll enjoy that and probably send you a message afterwards as well. Go and enjoy the evening, Andy, even if it is just going to sleep with a smile on your face.
Absolutely, yeah. Cheers, guys. See you soon.
And Reese, that was obviously race 4 and race 3 winner, Andy McEwen, jumping in to have a quick chat with us. That final couple of thoughts from you.
Oh, well, what a fantastic night. What a brilliant way to start my commentary career off. Excitement from start to finish in all 4 races. The chaps have really put a show on. They've been really well behaved as well. Plenty of respect, plenty of room given, especially on those final lap dices. And just from me as well, it's really strange because when I first started driving for Year One, I was driving in a Skip Barber series. And it was Andy McEwen commentating on me for Year One TV. And all of a sudden, I'm now commentating on Andy McEwen driving for Year One. So we're a bit back to front compared to how it was when we started. But it's been great. And I can't wait to crack on for the TCRs on Thursday, and then back in the Mazdas, which I believe is Brands Hatch next week. I'm sure we'll get the calendar up in a moment anyway, but off the top of my head, I think we're at Brands Hatch indeed next week.
Yeah, well, luckily, there we go, Graham Sesford has heard you, and you were absolutely bang on the money, so congratulations for that, because I'll be honest, I full-on didn't know. I hadn't written it down. But yeah, off to Brands Hatch Indy next week, of course. One of the most popular circuits anywhere in the world is Brands Hatch. Indy circuit is probably the more commonly raced, and well, if the weekend that I've just spent at Brands Hatch commentating on Mazdas is anything to go by, it is going to be epic, so you don't want to miss it at all. That is obviously next week, same time, same place, same format, same people hopefully in the commentary booth, and obviously producing it. And so I think it's about that time that we say good night. Graham is probably going to turn the camera back on me now. I'll probably never get used to that. You'll probably see me picking my nose more times than that. There we go again. Everybody, thank you very much for watching. If you've liked, subscribed, then thank you extra. If you just sat there and silently judged the commentating and racing that you've heard today and seen today, then we still thank you because you've boosted our viewing figures. So thank you very much. Hopefully you'll come back next week to see all the action. And of course on Thursday for the TCR, which runs in pretty much exactly the same format and at exactly the same time that we saw tonight. We'll see you next week. Good night.